I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. I just want Pat Cummins winning the toss underneath my Christmas tree. I just want Warner home hundreds for my own, more than MJ will ever know. Please, Pakistan, make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is to play twos. I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. I just want Nathan Lyon sliding on with the arm underneath my Christmas tree. I just want a hometown Bison for my own. Please, Pakistan, make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is the riding on Uzi's shoes. Australia win by 360 runs in Perth. How did the pitch play? Where were the people? Why did I have the bowl, Bart? Why did I have the bowl? Is anyone happy? Is this good? There's mock IPL auctions, a shooting outside the England hotel room in the West Indies, South Africa, India, BBL, India, Australia, Women's Test. Aaron Finch joins us in the studio, on the couch. Hashtag AskTGC about magic brownies. And here we are in our brand new studio, Pezza. Merry Christmas to you, to yours, the thing you own.
Yeah.
A little present from us to us this year, a brand new studio.
And to you, mate, and to you and the thing you own. Times are tough. Times are tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell of a week. A wonderful tribute from you there, and a controversial tribute, given that it's more de rigueur, I think, in inside cricket circles to sort of have a few question marks over the team.
Well, that's right.
As soon as they've ascended the mountain, of Everest, Himalayas, whatever mountain range you want to call, it's kind of de rigueur to be over it, to blow the flies off your cheeks and to sort of start looking to pastures new, faces new trappings, etc. Are we tired of fucking it?
Yes.
Are we tired of fucking the team?
I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
Give me something new. Give me a new sweet treat. Give me a new candy cane to suck on.
Have you had a moment to post this game to reflect on how you're feeling about the summer? And must we always reflect? Must we always philosophize whether this is exactly what we want? This is the cricket we want and need. Do we know what we want in cricket? Do we actually know of an Australian summer what it is we want? Because I reckon we'll never get what we want, because what we want is to be children. Is it not true?
Yeah.
Nothing will fill me with with whatever it was I felt.
Yeah.
With twins from my state, Mark and Steve Waugh, in the team batting 4 and 5 and Shane Warne bowling leg spin.
Yeah.
Nothing will get there.
It's as good as it gets.
I am chasing a fucking dragon on that.
Yeah.
But I'm happy
Yeah.
with my lot right now.
I'm way happier when it's Christmas time, when I don't have any currency to buy my own thing. So I had to wait for Christmas to get the thing that I want. Because now, if I just want a thing, I just go out and get it. Right? That's most people's experience.
Must be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But when it's Christmas time and you're 7, I have no faculty to go and purchase the things that I desperately desire.
Right.
And so yet it was given to you and you're like, wow, this is a gift. Now, in many ways, perhaps,
now you want for nothing.
I want for nothing. But so when I think about the year of the Australian team and being a fan of the Australian cricket team, if that's the kind of thing that you do, for me, not really my sport. But I think, wow, what a gift the year has been. Now what I want, maybe next summer's going to be good. India's out here. The Ashes, I like the Ashes.
Yeah. Harsha's tweeting about some pitch stuff, which we'll get to. It's a really it's like a year-long preview to some shit tip chat when India gets out here, which I love.
Yeah. There's so much of it is what's next. Who's going to replace Warner? Can Lyon pass all these other guys?
I saw an article titled, "Is this the worst summer of all time?"
Fuck, that's a good headline. Clicking the shit out of that. Is it?
Yeah. Well, last year we said was a cash-in summer in Australia. Yeah. Cash in, fill your boots, etc. And this year is really no different if you want to look at life that way. I would argue, but I won't.
Yeah.
But if I was to argue,
yes, if you're in the market for an argument,
I would say that the difference between this year and last year is that last year we knew that there was some big time cricket ahead of us, as a nation, as a team, which we are in.
Yes,
and we had South Africa and the West Indies coming out. We're like, we know that these games are going to be immaterial for anything other than bolstering the averages or diminishing the bowling averages of our players, so that later on in their careers we can say they had great careers. Right?
No material.
Because we knew that what the players and the team and us as a nation was going to be judged on was the big-time cricket up ahead. Border Gavaskar Trophy, World Test Championship, Ashes away, World Cup away. And so I felt like we were marking time last summer and really kind of navel gazing at the fact that the summer is diminishing before our eyes. International cricket, etc., RIP. And then we've scaled the mountain. We've finished the year as pound for pound, and again, it is us, the best men's international team in the world.
Right.
All right, pound for pound. Name me another team that's going better. Not saying the job was done perfectly.
I can't.
The job was not done perfectly, which obviously leaves, space for criticism.
Yes.
And I just feel, having played in those series, I feel a sense of relief that the exam is over and you've emerged, with the ATAR you wanted.
Right.
Really. You're getting into the course.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
If that's your want.
In your selected university of choice.
You put your preferences in and you got your preference.
You got
it
'em.
wasn't quite the mark you wanted.
Yeah.
You didn't, maybe not ducks.
Yeah.
Okay? Steve Waugh's still ducks.
Yeah.
You didn't break the record.
You never got that hug from your dad to let you know that you did good.
Yeah,
You done good, son. You done good, my boy.
Brad Hodges' dad. Now, I feel like now that the mountain has been somewhat scaled,
right?
Base camp, there's a flag there.
Yeah,
we're good.
Yeah, we got a flag.
I'm feeling ready to sit on a couch on a concerningly hot day in underpants in my privacy of my own home. Privacy. As we've been saying on the dailies, walking in and out of rooms, checking the score, exhaling briefly throughout my nose, looking at my phone, detaching, disengaging, relaxing, and enjoying, frankly, this settled team. You don't get this level of like settledness in a cricket team very often. But what do we do in Australia? We just go, Marnus, if you bowl straight at him, yeah, it's been a little while.
Going through a bit of a rough patch.
Yeah. And I'm kind of willing to let that go a little bit for a couple of tests. Now people will say we're on the payroll. Are we too matey with the players now, unwilling to criticise?
What the players do is they play their game of cricket and they live it, and then they stop what they're doing and they listen to this podcast. That's what happens. And they take notes.
I'm willing just to go after the examination of the year that's been.
Yeah.
I'm actually happy for a little bit of, pump and thump and dump.
Pump and thump and dump cricket. That'd be a good name for a podcast. For instance, when Lyon didn't play for the last 3 tests in the Ashes, and then you realise how good he is, like when he's not there.
Yep.
Like the exact same thing is going to happen. Like that's a microcosm of this team, generally speaking. When this team is done in, let's say, at the end of the next Ashes cycle, the home Ashes, a lot of these guys won't be playing anymore for Australia. We will realise how fucking good they are. But at the moment, it's like, not perfect. So, you know what? I tell you what was perfect, Pezza. That Adelaide live show we did last week with Chris Lynn. We are doing we're doing the forum in Melbourne tomorrow night with Adam Zampa, our special guest and Adam Zampa. That is already sold out, as is Brisbane and Fremantle with Michael Kasprowitz and Tom Moody in that order. Now, there are only tickets available for the Enmore, Simon Kadich, January 2. We have 90% sold out the Enmore. There is about 150 tickets left before we sell out the Enmore. We know it's going to sell out. It is going to sell out. Get in right now. If it's a late Christmas present for you and a mate, do that. For a loved one, for someone that you don't like, send them our way as well. There's a link in the description for the event. It's Sydney, January 2 at the Enmore. Simon Kadich is our special guest. Please do come along and join us. It is wild. It is fun. It is not just like a sit down, just having a bit of a chat while we're recording. Nothing is recorded ever.
No.
It is a comedy show. That is the purpose of this whole venture, generally speaking. So please do come and join us. There is a link in the description to get those tickets. Or if you don't want to click that link and you want to go a little bit harder, you can just go the Grey Cricketer Enmore live show. You can search some key terms into your life and you can get those tickets. There are 150 tickets left of a 1,600 person show. We're so excited to do it. It's our biggest ever show we've ever done. We obviously had a number of great shows in London where we did 3 nights in a row, 1,000 people, but never this big in one show. So we really want you guys to come along to sell that one out. It's going to be fucking amazing. It's the night before the SCG test, and every other ticket is sold out for our live shows. But so if you're in Sydney, you're in the area, you're in the neighbourhood, you're in the market, then come along. Get those tickets. Snap up the last few tickets. But yeah, we're in Adelaide at the Gov, where we saw 400 of our Adelaide friends.
Minimum.
on, when was that? Was that Thursday? No, it was night one of the test in Perth. So whenever that happened. And it was great fun. Adelaide, wonderful questions in AskTGC. Aggressive. There was a guy in mushrooms there.
Yeah.
A couple of blokes just snuck in backstage and pretend like the newest. There was a lot going on.
It's never not loose in Adelaide. I mean, we're trying to get people to Sydney. The last couple of tickets remaining.
Yeah.
Let's give them a flavour. I mean, firstly, I think that you could pitch a criticism at the boys being you and I, that
Okay.
we probably don't talk ourselves up enough, as much as a business should, really,
Right, okay.
for the shit that we're doing. The boys have hit their stride vis-a-vis live shows. Well, how many have we done this year? We'd be up at about 15, wouldn't we? If you count the summer.
At least.
We did
maybe 20?
Couple in Australia at the start of the year, then to India, then to England, and now we're back.
Yeah.
We fit our stride. We did normally the first show of a run is a little looser and maybe sloppier as you start to figure out what's working and what's not. It hit the mark, and that's just the first half of the show. It's when it gets into the AskTGCs is when it really kicks off.
A little later in the evening.
Adelaide is never not loose.
Yeah, that's
when
true.
we've done it.
That's true. Our first
and then-
night show we've done there.
Yeah, we're normally doing matinees
during the
because it's a night game in Adelaide. The Gov is home to some of the great acts throughout time. Music actually got, they actually have a nice little display of it in the green room. Living Ann, Regurgitated, Rodriguez, Searching for Sugar Man fame, and the great cricketer. But shout out to the guy who asked me whether I believed in free will or not, who then, after a little bit of cross-examination, revealed that he was on a different astral plane, a non-physical realm of being.
Right.
And the remainder of the AskTGC questions, which were loose and hostile.
Yes, hostile.
And
Good
it
hostility.
was really, really well received. At one point, Chris Lynn, who's, by the way, looking sensational, great to be right next to him as well, and spoke really well too. He actually completely corpsed, cry laughing, because someone had asked a question at one side of the room, and then another bloke who was pissed, who Lynn had just tossed a can of beer to.
I didn't see that.
Oh, you missed that?
I didn't see it.
No, he was started his own conversation. This guy, the start of the side of the stage.
Yeah.
So Lynn tossed him a beer can, and then the bloke just said, "Oh, fucking bunch of bald cunts," and both of us just lost it. More in terms of where are we? What's going on?
What is this?
And that was sort of the spirit of the evening, and it was
Sensational.
very, very well received. If you're
Yeah.
intending Sydney, you're going to be part of TGC history.
Yeah.
Biggest ever live show by nearly double. A homecoming for us. And the Enmore is a special place to both of us as well, growing up. And then, as you mentioned before, he goes, the time of year is unparalleled. You're talking about post-Christmas, just after New Year, the night before Sydney Test, no greater time for vibe in Sydney. You relax through the holidays. No one knows what day it is. You rock up to the Enmore to catch the state of the Australian cricketing nation.
on.
I'm sorry, but Simon Kadich is in tow.
Sorry about
Is he
that.
prepared for questions on a particular subject? Let's find out, from everybody. And he'll be joining for AskTGC as well. So I'd be snapping up those tickets if you can.
Can we get Carl Stefanovic there? No, but we can ask.
And may have already.
Okay, so there is that. So please do come along if you can. A quick shout out to our patrons who support this show so hard and so fast.
In record numbers.
In record numbers. Patreon.com/Great Cricketer. You get an hour show extra a week with hashtag AskTGC Fridays. We've extended that show to an hour per week instead of 45 minutes previously. We'll be answering your ridiculous questions and also a direct line of communication here to TGC headquarters, and also just live chat running out throughout all the day's play,
it's
comments
kicking
after
off.
every day's play.
The chat's kicking off. Earlier I saw an AI generated pic of Kumble and Murali welcoming Nathan Lyon to the Spin Club 500. They're all in whites. One user named Oi, check out that cow. Just wrote, how's the peace on Mutia? That's what that's what happens on
That's
Patreon.
what
You
we're
can have a
looking at.
beautiful kind of veneration of Nathan Lyon, a celebration of him with two of the greats. There's a picture of Warney behind them as well. And you think, that's a really nice touch. And on Patreon, the focus and the framing will be on the protrusion of Murali's penis through his pants.
That's right.
I'm just saying, if that's for you, you want 4 hours of that kind of stuff
per month.
loose, dark, raw per month. Patreon.com/Great Cricketer. That's for you.
Australia win the first test. The West Test is what they're calling it, by 360 runs. Australia won the toss and had a stick, and they scored 487. Pakistan would then bowl out for 271. That's a lead of 216 if you're counting at home, and you're not. Then Australia declared at 233 with 5 wickets down. That means they set Pakistan 449, and that was 360 too many because they bowled Pakistan out for 89. Alex Malcolm, a friend of the show, asked the question on ESPN Crick Info yesterday. I saw Pezar. Has Perth become Australia's new fortress? I mean, they win most games at home, to be fair.
The issue I have that question is like, is that new?
Well, because the Gabba's been the Gabba
and so there can only be one.
And it's been breached.
There can only be one.
Australia has played 4 test matches at Optus Stadium, and they've won all 4 of them. And I don't think any of them have been close.
I like the chat because sitting in the background of the is Perth the new fortress conversation, which is a complete confection. Like,
see, for me, it's Sydney because I don't play. We never lose there.
and fortresses are normally guarded by a moat of water, and there's heaps of that in Sydney.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like sitting in the background of that is that, they're knocking down the Gabba before the Olympics.
You're talking about the Olympic City?
Yeah, the Olympic
Brisbane.
City.
Yeah.
Is it around next year for the India series? So I wouldn't be surprised if the BCCI is knocking that down. Oh, actually, they want to keep it up, don't they?
We'll have to ask when we go to Brisbane in a couple of weeks.
Indeed. So now that Brisbane is, the Gabba, as we know it, is about to be knocked down, Australia, how can Australia exist without a fortress, without an anointed, understood fortress nationally?
Because usually it's Christmas Island.
Not bad. What's the deck like?
Fucking hell. So, I mean, the conversation has been around the attendance of the test matches. So the numbers were 16,000 day 1, 17,000 day 2, 16,000 day 3, and 9,000 on the last day. So just over 59,000 over the course of 4 days. This is per Brettig in the 9 papers this morning. So Perth wants the pre-Xmas test. They obviously rival with Adelaide. So Brettig said this morning that Melbourne brings in 32 million for the MCG test. Sydney bring in 27 million for the New Year's test. Adelaide bring in 20 million, just over 20 million for their test match. And then Perth, over recent times, has brought in just $11 million. Obviously, this isn't about anything else other than just finances and who's bolstering the coffers. But the conversation, man, has been rife around like, why was no one there? And I mean, we discussed this on one of our might have been the last day. It was end of day 4. We discussed it. I thought with some vigor around like there is obviously a reason. It's not just like, well, they just don't like it. Like you have to actually think about what are some of the reasons. And surely the reasons, as stated previously earlier in the week, are that, well, first of all, they play grade cricket. They play all local cricket on Saturday still during the test match, so there's no one there. The game is over on day 4. Friday and Thursday, day 1 and 2, people are still fucking at work before Christmas, Those are some, I would have thought, some very key reasons as to why.
Give Sydney and Melbourne a test in that slot. Let's see how both cities go there.
I think that's a great shout, mate. I know.
Very easy to sit here and go like, oh, mate, where are they? Mate, let's see where the Sydney siders are turning up. Mate, December 10.
I remember going to a test match in Sydney. What was it for? It was in mid-January, and there was fucking no one there. And people are already back at work, So, like, I mean, and that's, Sydney has a population of, 5.5 million, something like that. Perth has a population of 2 million, and Adelaide has a population of 1.3. I know that because I looked it up before. But I mean, the thing about Adelaide is that, like, they've turned that into a destination test match. Like they've part of the renovations have meant that it's a very, very attractive place to go and watch cricket. But also saying that, when we've been there, okay, there might be more people going through the gate, but there's fuck all people watching. They're all at the back having a great time. It's a wonderful event to go to with young people from all across the country heading out the back, and they're like it's a fucking day at the races. But they're like barely watching the screens.
Think about this story, right? The narrative concentration on, like is Perth, is something going on with Perth?
Yeah, right.
It's it strikes me as a sort of story that has several half a dozen little subplots going on underneath. I mean, just Brettig's article here, and this is without having done any kind of call around on this. It has the to me, it seems like there must be some crapshoot going on over the ownership of particular places in the schedule, particularly now that Brisbane's being knocked over. I think Perth has been agitating for a little while for some better, let's call it, content through the test summer. And can the, and we've seen over the last couple of years, can the Sydney-Melbourne Boxing Day New Year's test duopoly be unseated in some way? So when Bredig notes the various millions of dollars each city can bring in, I'm sure, and I haven't spoken to Dan, but I'm sure that's done with some professional research into and briefing perhaps into what it represents for the coffers. Yeah. I'm not sure whether the average fan gives a shit whether it's 20 million, 10 million or whatever. But it seems like that's kind of what's sitting underneath this question about what's occurring vis-a-vis Perth, which is actually how it's noted on the actual the briefing documents. I find the state rivalry stuff when it moves into like xenophobia and stereotyping of states a little bit grim, and if I guess setting things back for Perth on that question of is it a fortress is like if you compare it to the Gabba, like the Gabba is fucking chaos when you go there. Like for the first test of a big series, people are fucking like it's like a zoo there, and that adds to the sense of chaos and hostility. And fortresses are normally guarded with people, and Perth can't quite say that that's the optic that you get at Optus, right? Yeah. But by the same token, I think it makes a great contribution to the aesthetic of cricket in the summer. The team plays really good cricket there as well. We've experienced our fair share of shit tips and doctored wickets against other big teams, multiple, and I quite like going to Perth and having a deck that's suited to Australians. But it seems to me like there are so many factors that play into the decision as to like when and where tests are hosted that go far beyond sporting considerations, which is a shame as a fan. Yeah.
Do you remember the first test? The first ODI of the World Cup in Ahmedabad against New Zealand and England, where at the start of the game there was no one there in this massive stadium. It's not a dissimilar optic here, where like there are decent numbers if that game was at the Wacker, for instance, like they would actually be close to a sellout. I'm pretty sure. But when it's in such a massive stadium, a 60,000-seater stadium, and in the last day you've got 9,000 people there, or even day one, perhaps a better illustration, where there are, come on computer, turn on, 16,000 people there on day one. It just looks shithouse, because it's so big and so vast. But like, I mean, there was also some stats going around last time Pakistan were here in the first test match. That game was played in the Gabba, and 16,000 less people. So 59,000 people turned up for this test match. Whenever Pakistan were here last, 4 years ago perhaps, there were 43,000 people turned up over the course of also 4 days. So, whilst even Christina Matthews, head of the Wacker, outgoing, said that they wanted low 20s or between 20 and 25 for all 4 days or all days of the test match. So that is unders of even what their expectations were. I still feel like it's going okay. I still do think it's going okay, but there seems to be more things. It's like, why don't they like Pat Cummins? This is a JL thing still. How come they turn up for the Scorchers? Well, I think there are answers for the last thing anyway. I'm not sure about like the feelings towards a team, which I don't think is a real thing at all. But like, when good games are on at suitable times for people to go and watch it, I think they do turn up. It's not just like, well, how come they don't like the cricket? You know what I mean?
I mean, I think that, again, like a subplot of all of this is the great, you dare not utter it, but like the great secret of Australian cricket consumption in this nation, which is that like we pay attention to it as a exclusive sporting property, I reckon, for 21 days a year.
Yeah.
And that is at odds with our, with the narrative in Australia, which is still important, ABC PO Box 9994. There's a subtle, deep-seated pastime love of the game here. But in terms of like people, bums on seats paying 500 sheets for a day's play, for mid-strength beer and overpriced food. No wonder there's 5 cities competing for 2 tests.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and those tests are going to go to the big financial capitals.
Yeah.
And the rest is, as we see playing out in the media, a lot of jostling and spin and advocacy and all those kinds of things. And I think sitting back, not being kind of inside any of that, perhaps it's too kumbaya, but like I think every city has something excellent to offer the Australian sporting, like the aesthetic.
Yeah.
I can see why non-Melbourne, Sydney cities are trying to get their hands on some content when people are actually going to the fucking game and it looks great.
Yeah.
I reckon if you gave Adelaide and Perth those two tests, you know, you give them some time, they do something with it as well.
Hey, Hobart. If I was in Hobart and they were playing an Ashes Test match and it was on Boxing Day or the New Year's, fuck yeah, I'm going to that.
Yeah, but it is sad to see states warring and pushing against each other and cutting each other down. But it's just, you know, it's just politics, I guess, of what's going on, and also shit opposition teams.
So to that end, let's talk about the game itself. You know, I want to ask you, was it a bit of a shit tip the deck? You know, we saw Harsha Bhogle tweet. He said, "I guess if it is okay for a track to be so up and down by the third evening as to pose an injury risk, then it is fine for it to be turning square."
Now, first thing I want to say
Come
about
on,
this,
Harsha.
now we're talking.
Come on, Harsha.
Now we're talking. Ornament to the game, Harsha Bhogle.
Yeah.
Friend of the show.
Yeah.
I'm not completely sure, but I believe he's coming over to
coming
commentate
out?
if he isn't already here.
Okay, right.
For at least Melbourne, possibly Sydney as well. I may be wrong about that, so apologies if that's the case. But if so, he's coming in hot.
Yeah, good.
Harsha, and I like that.
Yeah.
I think the Anglo-hypocrisy beat is a very rich beat with a lot going for it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth to some Anglo-hypocrisy.
100%.
Right?
Some good history there. So there's a lineage.
And I think when Harsha speaks on these matters, it is worthwhile reflecting on whether there's some... And there is some kind of truth to what he talks about. We very easily paint our own eyes on for our own shit.
Very
right?
conveniently, yeah.
But...
but come on.
It's good media stuff. Look, in Perth, there was 100, 2 blokes scored 90s, there's a couple of 50s, the quicks swung and seamed the ball at pace. Nathan Lyon as a spinner took wickets. There was something in it for everyone. The match was not determined at the toss. It was not the perfect wicket. The variable bounce into the third day was definitely worth pointing out. The truth of movement and bounce in conditions within, like, you know, cricket balls is really at the heart of the question of, you know, what is a good, what's a good pitch. These are always matters of degrees.
Yeah.
Right? You can't have too much truth in the bounce of the ball. Otherwise, it's a fucking boring spectacle and everyone's scoring runs. You want some assistance, but not too much. That's what I mean by matters of degrees. Now, like, I think drawing a comparison between balls going through the surface on day one, barely even getting up and spinning a fucking meter, particularly when they've been deliberately manufactured that way to exploit the weaknesses of the opposition, is not a fair comparison to this Perth pitch, which offered something for everybody and whose deterioration after 200 plus overs is when problems started to arise. And these are the degrees that we're talking about. It's not a matter of one person's perfect and the other one's completely wrong. It is a matter of degrees. I think drawing that comparison is a little bit cheeky. However, I like Harsha Bhogle's cheek. It's good gear.
It's good cheek. Always has been, always will be. See, I thought last year when they played against South Africa, the game was over in about 7 minutes, and by the end, when Australia needed to chase 7 and they were 6 down, or whatever it was. Yeah. Now I thought that was sporting. I did think that was a bit of a shit tip.
Yeah.
I thought that.
I love the euphemisms becoming. Yeah, it was sporting. It was a testing.
But I think we need that in Test cricket. You know, just different variations.
Yeah.
Anyway,
one of the issues within it, he goes, I think, is that everybody carries bias to their nation.
No, I don't.
believe.
I don't.
No, except for us. Actually,
I don't.
I like anyone who says I present my views objectively. It's actually impossible to do that. I believe.
Waltzing Matilda. Sorry, I say that every morning at 11 a.m.
I think you could back up the argument. Not that I will here. That would require research. That I do think we have a superior ability or body of evidence in Australia of calling out our own shit compared to, let's just say, India. I don't see as much self-reflection on that stuff in India. Now, perhaps it does exist. She's a big country.
She's a big old bopper,
so we don't get it all, right? But I do think that,
1.4 B.
I'm not seeing a lot of that there. So perhaps we could all be better at just calling out our own shit all the time.
Yeah.
Sandpaper, it was shit, just for people who are typing that in the comments.
Right.
Sandpaper was bad. It was a disgrace.
I think about calling stuff out like we've got the best team. Yeah. We always win the World Cups. We've always had the best players.
We can do no wrong.
Okay, well,
let's talk about the game now.
Yeah. So what happened in the game? I didn't actually catch any of this, but I was sort of in and out of rooms again. But David Warner scored 164, did the big shush celebration. Yeah. How fucking dare he just sit there and take the criticism like a bad little boy. He goes past Michael Clark and the big Dostoevsky for most test runs for Australia. He went past Viv, and he went past Saywag as well for test runs internationally. Now, he's only 250 runs behind Gooch, me and Dad, Laxman, De Villiers, also Coley, who I suspect might score a couple more runs in Test cricket.
He's got a few more in him.
But, so he's 24th all-time in Tests. It's internationally. He's 5th all-time for Australia. I say bring in bangers. Unnecessary, but
I saw Heelzo say that he should go on for another year, change his mind. That'd be fucking awesome. Well, I don't think it would be right, but it'd be very good trial.
It's pretty funny. That's good. 1-0 Heelzo. Again, exactly. Yeah. So it was a pretty good knock. I mean, I thought that wicket in the first hour with the new ball of Shaheen, and I thought it was pretty spicy. I mean, there was a couple of times where it hit the shoulder of the bat. It was moving around a little bit. I thought Pakistan were very poor in that first session on day one. They should have had more wickets than that way. They did. I think they didn't even take one. I think Khawaja and Warner put on 100 in that first session. About 122 off 20 overs when they were something like that.
Sorry, to the detractors, but Warner was 50 or 41 or something like that. Mm-hmm. What Warner did in this game, what Warner has done, this was a classic Warner innings, as in Warner at his best. He has done this so many times for Australia, where he won the game for Australia. He took it away with the way that he bats before the other team had realised what was going on. Yeah. And he ends up making 164. The next highest score is 90. Yeah. Obviously, he fails in the second inning, so question marks over his place.
Yeah. There's only 5 50s in the game.
Right.
In 4 innings.
But he did what Warner does, when he's at his best. He hasn't done a lot lately, as somebody whose skills are on the decline is wont to do. But I think to score 164 when you've got a couple of tests left in the Harch, that's also not something a lot of greats have been able to do either, right? He's obviously still got it. And I just think there's a lot of contextualising of the innings, which is fair enough, well, what might someone else have scored, and would it be, are we borrowing against the future by having him? That's all. They're fair points, I think. But sometimes you do have to stop and go, look, he's just won the test for Australia.
He's done very well not to get player of the match. I mean, Mitchell Marsh was excellent. He scored 90, 63 red, and he got the wicket of Babar Azam in the first innings. So obviously, sort of.
I think David Warner's player of the match. That's some West Test stuff.
I agree.
He hit 160. Yeah. No one else can score runs. The game's over before they get a chance to bat. Yeah. That's player of the match. Yeah. It's a pretty good riposte, irrespective of where you sit philosophically or ideologically in the selection of Warner in the side. You got to hand it to him.
Yeah. Just to that end, to replace Warner eventually, Marnus, Head, Marsh have all said they don't want to open. Would you suggest then that Bancroft is the most likely, given that it's only Big Bash now between now and the West Indies Test match on January 16 in Adelaide? So there's no Sheffield Shield games. Bancroft scored, I think he's already scored 500 runs in the Shield this season. He's averaging 50 something the last couple of years of Shield cricket. I think he's leapfrogged Harris. I think. Given that I don't think. Well, first of all, also with sorry if I can couple this with Marsh being player of the match doing so well. We ain't seeing Cameron Green this summer, I don't think. I don't see how Cameron Green gets in unless they shuffle rounds. They get Marnus opening or Head or Mitch Marsh, but they've all said they don't want to do it. So it's probably going to be an opener comes in for Warner. The team stays the same for the rest of the Test matches. So I don't think we're seeing Cameron Green this summer.
When you
there's
ask
a lot. I just said a lot.
No, I know. Yeah. When you ask is Bancroft head of the queue, do you mean is he head of your queue, or as in? Do you think that's how they're seeing it?
I think the latter. I think that's how they're seeing it. But I think previously it was Harris.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you're, reading into any of the, noises or signals coming from the camp, coming from the people who will make that decision, I don't think they've, they will give some indication around, like sometime after Sydney, that they'll give some kind of indication to journalists so that it's known who's next cab.
Yeah, right.
I think. I don't know if there has been that many signals around Bancroft. I think that Bancroft has had to fight for inclusion in the conversation by sheer weight of runs and being atop the Shield, tally of run scorers. I don't know if anybody's really said anything.
That's true, actually, because he wasn't in India and Renshaw was, and he wasn't in England and Renshaw was.
That's
and
right.
Harris.
So yeah, Renshaw is the incumbent heading into that India
Renshaw's just scored.
Series, yeah, and then they took Harry to the Ashes, and then Andrew McDonald's on radio noting that people can come from outside lanes. Whatever the case, they're keeping it pretty under wraps. It doesn't seem to me all of the pundits and the greats, on the commentary are suggesting everything. I think every single option's been suggested. I mean, just throw another one in there. The Pakistan's asked for a 2-day practice game, and Harry and Pekovsky are opening the batting. What if Puck makes 200 at the junction against Pakistan?
Renshaw just scored 100 in that
130, and that was before the covers blew off. That could have been 200 against a Pakistan side playing on a slow deck that didn't want to be there. So there's definitely and we've got a vacuum of conversation about anything else. I genuinely have no idea. I think that's how the team really wants it to go. I even wonder, with all of the players who've been asked whether they would shift positions, who have each said no vociferously, how much weight that carries. I mean, a lot of people are suggesting that because Mitch Marsh, for example, has said no, then that now won't happen. And because Head said it, and because Khawaja has said it on behalf of Marnus, that now that won't happen. I mean, the coach decides, and if that's your only way of staying in the team, then they're going to do it. So I really have no idea. There's so many guys have a really good argument in different ways. I mean, Cameron Bancroft has the traditional argument. I am the top Shield run scorer. I am an opening bat. I have been at this level before. I have fought my way in. There is certain resilience that creates where someone comes back in after fixing issues and then their career kicks off. He's at the peak of his powers at the age that he's at. That's a really good, solid argument.
It's a decent argument.
It's a decent argument, right? And it's one that has probably stood the test of time in cricket, in Australian cricket generally, and we are conservative. Then you have Matthew Renshaw, who's got a couple of years on the other guys, as in more years, probably more upside, has also had a go at test level. I think he appears to have a better technical game for test cricket than the other guys. I think he looks more a test cricketer than the other guys. And I could see why that would be enticing to the team as well. Marcus Harris was next cab for a long time and will probably be in the same boat as Bancroft of okay, I've had my crack and now I'm ready to go. And then there's the Andrew McDonald suggestion that they want the 6 best batters and they can rotate around, which would suggest it's more important they get Cam Green into the side than get Cameron Bancroft into the side, for example, which just means that they're going to upset somebody's, comfort of where they bat. I really have no fucking idea. I think ideally they wanted Will Pekovsky to come through. This was Pekovsky's spot, really.
And he had it 2 years ago.
He had it. And then the Khawaja stuff happens, but and they might want Renshaw to take over Khawaja. So it just looks open as fuck to me. And I don't really know what else to say.
Looking forward to Warner opening at the Adelaide Test match.
That's right. Maybe Warner should continue on.
One more year. Don't know if you saw this morning, Pezza, that Khawaja has faced 55 balls less in Test cricket than South Africa as a whole this year, which just to me suggests that whilst Usman's had a very good year, South Africa don't play Test cricket anymore. That's what it's actually saying.
That's exactly right.
Usman's been sensational this year. Runs in India, World Test Championship, Ashes, fantastic. Scored a 90 in this Test match as well. But that's just all it says is Test cricket's fucked.
Exactly. Yeah, Cameron Green's faced more than Ireland. Pretty harsh. Should probably have played more. Warner Johnson as well. What you make of I just thought both players missed a great opportunity during the game to offer some grace. I just think as a PR move, even fake Grace, WG Grace Brothers RIP, the name, is such an underrated tool to use as a gesture. If Warner scores that 100, instead of shushing, he basically puts his bat down gets the left arm out to note that he's bowling to that he's impersonating Johnson, and then just does a heart symbol, points to the crest and says, "I love you." Do you know how much people would laugh at that and also go, "What a man"? You know, he could fix fucking 10 years of people's perceptions of him by basically building a bridge with Johnson.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it was more likely he was going to run down the wicket and yell into the stump mic, "That's for you, Mitch."
Yeah, exactly.
that
would have
much
also
more
been
likely.
good. Would have also been good. You know, it like Mitchell Johnson heart symbol back. Isn't that good to see?
Yeah.
You know?
Mending fences.
I'm not saying like I want the fences mended. I want the byplay of it all.
It's not good for our business if fences are mended.
It's absolutely horrendous.
Not
Cummins
good for us
has
at
been
all.
the worst thing for this job. You know, kill them with kindness. The most sick response of all. That's the most sick thing you can do.
Heads would explode if that happened. Heads would they'd actually just be ours. But I don't have Mitch's comments in front of me, but he did seem to enjoy Warner's duck in the next innings. I mean, it's just like I just find the attack like it's very obviously how you're going, you know. And I don't think that's just my take. There's a lot of people in the nation who just feel about fucking hell, steady on, MJ. But I mean, I think you nailed this, Pezza. But like, I really feel like anytime I see this kind of sort of commentary, this sort of aggression, this sort of it's almost bile. But I just think when I see these comments, I just think fucking hell, he was good in 2013, 14.
Oh, what a player!
What a player! You know, that's how I feel about it. It's like I remember when he bowled, Anderson, he gave him a big shush. You know. He ran down he went there. Fuck, it was quick.
He went Roy Keane. He said he did what he was paid to do.
Yeah, it's his job.
That's his job.
It's his job.
Maybe I'm with it. I'm with it. Double down.
Just like he's gonna play. Like
the top knot doubles down.
Is anyone? When I say is anyone, Warner's winning out of this because it's making Johnson look worse. It's just silly.
Yeah, I think if somebody's decided that they loathe David Warner. He could like he could feed the planet and solve like global poverty, and some people still blowing flies off their cheek, going like, he's a coke. Yeah. It's gonna be a big old send off there at the SCG. It's just trench warfare and that stuff, isn't it? I don't, you know, two ideas at the same time can't be done. Dig your trench, sit in it, and just fire your shots. Pick a side, mate. Put the old blindfold on, fire your shots, see what hits. Drink your milk. Nathan Lyon took his 500th wicket and then got his 501st so quickly after that because, you know, he waited so long. It was like London buses. He's the 8th person to do it in tests. But, you know, all we want to think now is like who can he surpass? You know, can he get to Warne? Yeah, what hasn't he done? What hasn't he done yet? That's where we go to with it. Because, like, the next wicket is the more important one than the last one. Same thing as any sort of game. The next test is more important. The next series is more important than this one just happening right now. So this week at 500, that's all well and good. Yeah, he's at 501 now. So, but can he catch Morley at 800 and whatever it was? Yeah, can he surpass the king? And would it be ethical? You know, AKA Mark Taylor, David Warner, and Bradman. You know, they're really the questions. Let's not look back on the 500 and how we got there through no interest. Superb combination of resilience, skill, and talent. 0% interest on that for me. The fact that he's become a better bowler every single year. He has a straight delivery now. He's literally... He's the best he's ever been at age 37. Why can't he get even better? You know, the absence making the heart grow fonder through the ashes. It's just an absolutely vital cog. 5 years after Warne retires, where spin is just the last thing anybody wants to do, comes along and makes the position his own. With good and credit to selectors who stuck with him as well. Allows the cartel to rotate through because he's so fucking reliable. All these little things that he does. Great team man, no ego. You know, there's been some carry on over the time. Okay, you know, he plays cricket for Australia. Headbutt the line stuff. Yeah. Ending careers. Sure. Yeah, sure. There's a bit less of that these days, but he's got a bit of mist. You know? Which I think is just a front because he's the most nervous person in the world. Exactly. I mean, as if you wouldn't. It's a country front. If you were picked to play for Australia, as if you wouldn't go, you know, like a little bit of at least false ego. Playing for Australia, sort of part of the job. People won't trust you. Yeah. Otherwise, I play with a bag over my head. Now, why did you do that? Was it a kink? I played with a belt around my neck and a bag over my head. Tangerine? Tangerine. Is it tangerine or was that only... In the mouth. No, it was in the mouth. Yeah. What's a tangerine? Is there a hole through the bag for the tangerine? No, I had it underneath. Underneath, yeah. And I had a pair of Doc Martens. Yes. No pants, though. Yep. That's how you play. What did you bowl? Right arm over.
Just
office,
these ones?
Doorknobs, yeah.
Yeah, just
that's
doorknobs.
Right. Get over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's not talk about that with Lyon. Let's look at what he hasn't done yet, and what he can do.
Yeah.
What it will take,
What
and,
it'll take to
and
get
would
the
it be
respect of the nation.
and would it be respectful to go past
Yeah.
Warren?
If he goes past McGrath, 5'6", 8", is that on?
Yeah, probably, isn't it? That's spin stuff. Warren, I don't want it. I'll just say that publicly.
The country's not ready for Nathan Lyon to pass Warren's
Yeah, what
record.
I'll also say is that Nathan Lyon is, like our friend on the astral plane said, I believe he's got free will to do it, and if he does it, absolutely, hats off, pants off, tangerine belt, bag, right? But I don't want it for my own sort of Rubik's Cube sensibilities. I don't want anyone ahead of Warney.
But there are young people right now who didn't see Shane Warne bowl.
I don't give a fuck.
And they grew up like to them, it's like Warne's Benno. I never saw Benno bowl.
Well, I wouldn't mind if Benno had gone past Warren. Personally, I see your point.
I
see your point.
take that back.
But I know exactly what you're trying to say. Yeah, ordinarily I believe that every generation's better than the last, and we should pay more attention to what young people are saying. We're all just getting old and stuck in our ways.
But the problem with that is
young people can fuck off if they think that it's okay for Nathan Lyon to go past.
Also, they forget that our generation was the best generation.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, well done, Gaz. I'm eternally impressed. I've been somebody who's crow's feet at different times on Nathan Lyon, but here's something people could do more often. Wrong, Pezza, wrong about that. Nathan Lyon, the ends have justified the means for me.
More bad news coming for Australian cricket fans because Cummins says the team's going to be the same. No one's injured. The bowlers will be the same. Lance Morris has been released to play BBL, so we're not going to see the bear back. We're not going to see Scott Boland at the MCG on Boxing Day like that time he did that thing. We're going to build some statues and whatever. So it's going to be the same team because the bowlers are really good and they're all fit and they want to play. So they're going to play.
Oh, right. The temerity to want to play some cricket for their nation
after
while
all
they're
the
at the
tough
peak
series.
of their powers.
Yeah, play all the tough series, but then you get the easy ones at home. And you're like, no, we'll give someone else a go.
Yeah, give Bareback a run.
Yeah,
the old raw dog there.
It's bad news all around.
Yeah.
Can you see Pakistan doing anything? We haven't even said one thing about Pakistan. One bloke got 6 for on debut. Irrelevant.
I can't see them doing anything. I feel like the Australian team is so...
Baba's out of form.
Is he? Right. I would love to see him do something. It looks good, but as a sort of a...
Mate, they've got so many good batters. Imam's a great opener. So is Shafiq. Shah Massoud's had a good run. Babar Azam, obviously. You want to see Shaheen.
They're great in certain circumstances, but are they great against the Cartel and Lyon? See you later. In their own fucking
international threes
where the hooves trot. No,
fuck off.
So I hope Bubba does something. It'd be nice to
So we can all stand up and applaud.
Yeah, just lay some eyes on something that he does.
Lay some eyes on something.
Yeah, but the rest is just one of the boys. A couple of the boys will stand up with the stick. Cartel go to work. Scene presentation. Lino, can he get something out of the deck? See you later. Australia win by 360. Is there any leftover ham? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, beer's in the fridge still, all good.
Yeah.
I got a haze, just generally over my head.
Someone's going to ask you, "Did you watch cricket?" I saw the first session, and then I went out and lived my life.
Yeah.
And I came back and I opened up the app and I just checked the score. That's what people are going to say.
Yeah, I'm on the couch. There's the fan.
Yeah.
Is the fan hitting you directly or is it swinging?
Yeah.
What's your preference there? For me, I want to be hit directly. I don't want the air at different consistencies across my body. There's some ice laid on the old chest there. Cool down. Whatever. Each to their own. Bubba, that was a nice shot. Someone nick him off now. Tell me that's not how we're seeing the game. You laugh. It is not how it's presented to us.
Hopefully a couple of Wazzy Macram highlights as well. That'd be good.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Did anybody scope highlights of JL and Gilly? Because I didn't.
I didn't see
I can't say I was watching every ball, but how many times was that rolled out? Maybe 0.
Disappointing.
Is there...
Well, they're on different networks.
Well, I wonder, is that it? Has network wars become so passionate and deep-seated that neither are prepared to even reference someone who might be on the other network. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, you're smiling at me. You're worried. You're worried about what I might say, which I won't. But just a question. Or maybe they've both just shaken hands and just gone like, let's give the punters a break from Gillian JL in Hobart. I'm kind of ready for it.
Pezza, with NordVPN, you can switch your virtual location to a country that is showing any live sports event in the world that you might not be able to access in your country. People are worried about, well, what if I get NordVPN, as we were requesting people to do, get NordVPN? Well, am I going to get my money back? You know, is it worth it? Is it valuable? Is it valuable for my time and money? Well, NordVPN actually helps you save money as well as protect you from cybercrime. You can change your virtual location, sign up for any subscription service around the world via other countries, and then you can pay a much cheaper price. Obviously, Netflix is cheaper in different countries compared to that being either here or the US or the UK. You can also book flights and holidays via another country and then pay less. Therefore, Pezza, NordVPN essentially pays for itself.
You're actually making money.
You can grab an exclusive NordVPN deal right now by going to the custom URL through the episode show notes to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus 4 months for free. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. If you don't want to find the link, if you're too lazy and you just want to listen to it, just say, here goes, just tell me what the link is. It's nordvpn.com/TGC.
I've used VPNs in the past, Higos. I appreciate that we're in the middle of a paid sponsorship message, right?
They're paying us to say that.
Yeah, but I have used VPNs in the past. And I have to say, one of the things that dissuaded me years ago from continuing VPNs was I felt like it actually throttled the quality of my internet connection. Right? This is legit. I started using NordVPN so that, you know, my online activity wasn't detectable and the things are on my hard drives.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I jumped on because I wanted to watch some overseas content and zero impact to my internet connection. You literally can use NordVPN and go at blinding internet speed, if you can achieve that in Australia, and it will not be impacted by the use of the VPN. So you're accessing content all over the world. It is with NordVPN that you keep that internet speed as well.
Huge discount, NordVPN plan plus 4 months for free. It's completely risk-free using Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. NordVPN.com/TGC. Pezza, the Big Bash is back. And aren't we looking forward to it? Obviously, the Big Bash took a break whilst the Perth Test match was on for the Eastern States, where the Test match was on at prime time, I suppose. What time did the day's play finish? About 9 o'clock in Melbourne and Sydney and other places. And so they didn't play the Big Bash during the Perth Test match, but the Big Bash is back. For those catching up, the Brisbane Heat are top of the table. They've played 3. They've won 2, and they had that no result with which was
Scorchers, or was that Strikers? It rained off. I think.
That's right. That's right. That was one in Canberra.
Yeah,
that's right. Then the Sixers and the Scorchers are next in second and third, and then there are the Hurricanes, Thunder, and the Stars all on 0 points, and the Renegades and Strikers are somewhere in between. So we're really just into the start of the Big Bash. It feels like it's just begun. Then it sort of took that break for the Perth Test match, but the Big Bash is back, so it's going to be cricket non-stop, wall to wall now until end of Jan, I suppose.
Yep. This is it.
This is blobby time,
mate. You couldn't have said it better.
And I just walking in,
mate. It is. It's time for blobby.
Yeah.
For all people across the nation.
You're walking in, you're bashing things over because you're a little bit tipsy from too much champagne and ham during the Christmas and the festive period, which are 2 separate periods. And you're walking in, you're just going blobby, blobby, and you just bump into stuff, and there's cricket on, and there's just different colours flashing in front of your eyes. You just say, oh, okay, it's green against red tonight. Oh, the Scorchies are playing against that purple team.
Yep.
Is that Grimace? You know, and then you're walking in, you're talking to people on the phone, you're having a bit of a chat, you barely keep an eye on the scores, but that's what's happening. You look at a highlight, fuck, no, that was a big 6. What's his name? I don't know. It looks like it's hard to say. Will Sutherland, he's a good player. I like him. Wonder if he's any good at footy.
Yep.
This is the perfect time after Australia's just fucking decimated the hapless international threes team during the daytime.
Ritual.
And then you come in, blobby. I'm a little bit high. I'm a little bit tipsy. This is fucking my time.
Yeah, dog. And like, as you're sitting there on your couch, your seat, whatever your apparatus is, you maybe lie on the floor for back issues. You've had a bit of a break from work, and amid the beers, if that's your proclivity, or the brave alternatives to beers that you get ads for, or non-alcoholic drinks
so
altogether.
Brave.
Yeah, very brave. you know, you might also like your brain might also start with relaxation, you know, from work, start developing new ambitions for your life. You know, something might pop into your brain about a change you might like to make in your life. And you can rest assured with the cricket on and phones that idea will go away because you've just been smashed with ads and all that. No.
Spot on.
So, but I'm just saying, this is the season for that. This is a season for creeping ambitions as well, as you're being blobby on the couch and thinking, you know, I could actually turn my life around or improve my life somewhat. Maybe it's involved in, you know, a career progression. Maybe it's family relationships. Maybe it's personal relationships. Maybe it's friends. There's lots of areas, you know, maybe it's your health and your fitness and stuff like that. This is the season to have that idea creep into your head subconsciously and then just drift away because, you know, Matt Gilks is in for the Thunder and he's just fucking, he's gone whack. You know,
he's gone whack, has he?
Yeah, he's gone whack, old Gilksy. And then we're into the ads and the beers and that.
Do you want to go talk to Aaron Finch?
Yes.
Here he is right now. Here's Aaron Finch.
Well, we're back for the interview this week. And of course, our interviews on TGC are brought to you by Shane Watson's winning the Inner Battle. Last time we spoke about that on the show, we had Will Sutherland on the couch who said he owed a lot to that book. I think he said he was halfway through it. So, I mean, who knows how good Will can get if you read the other half of the book. But it's the one-stop shop for cricket psychology. My understanding is that like the books are actually flying off the shelves, all ages, all skill levels. And what can we say heading into Christmas? ShaneWatson.au for winning the Inner Battle to assist your cricket game, even life game. You know, you got some financial decisions to make. You got some relationship decisions to make.
Are you talking to yourself?
I'm looking down. Right down at the couch. Got a couple of calls to make there with colleagues, you know. ShaneWatson.au winning the Inner Battle. Very special guest with us this week here on the couch in the flesh. It's a big mitt.
It's lean.
It's lean.
It's fit.
The rig is good.
Yeah,
it's
Finch is looking fit. Yeah.
World Cup winner, Australian international. It's IPL. It's white ball. It's just so much pleasure in the first opening salvos of any white ball game. Aaron Finch, Finchy, welcome to the couch.
Thanks for having me. It's been a long time coming.
Too long, do you think?
Maybe not. Maybe could have
been waiting on the.
It was the right
waiting on
time.
the message. Yeah.
Well, there's been a few messages over the years back and forth, and it just hasn't quite matched up. So, I'm not sure which one of you was first to reach out, but you were the most recent.
Yeah.
Nothing against you.
No, he's cooler than me.
No. When Pezzo there was introducing you as World Cup winner, now you've actually won 2 World Cups. You've won, it's dual format. Like, does that upset you a little bit when he didn't recognise both victories?
Well, I think you can lump them into one. If you've won one, you've won 2, haven't you?
Because you know, like, because like the 2015 World Cup win, home World Cup win, what that meant,
100 against England. MCG.
I mean, come on, but like the 2021 one in the UAE, like it would have been a different style of satisfaction. That one,
that certainly was, because I think everyone, all the pundits, not one of them had us even making the top 4.
Oh, us included.
Including us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wrote you off. Receipts.
Receipts.
Keep the receipts. Yeah. So anything that was written, anything like that was always kept. And just
it actually was kept. It was kept.
Plastered up on the wall like a sort of like a police investigator.
Not quite.
With string.
String band.
Yeah, it's just trying to
No, but
piece
the boys
together.
would talk about it at various times. So say, Ricky Ponting said we wouldn't make the finals. Michael Vaughan come out and said this. And I remember Mark Nicholas came up to me before the first toss of the coin. We were playing South Africa at Abu Dhabi. And he come up and he said, you guys have got no chance.
Oh,
I said,
are you serious?
I said, mark my words, we'll win the tournament. I said, we've got all the tools. And he looked at me and goes, you are joking. And we chatted about it during the World Cup, actually. And he said, I remember that conversation because when you won it, he goes, I didn't think you could do it. And I said, to be honest, at the time, I didn't think we could either.
But you had all the tools because you kept winning the toss. So you had it all there.
6 out of 7 tosses.
And Funkmaster Flex, Tossmaster Finch, I believe is what everyone was saying around the world.
A lot of years go into that.
Yeah.
But that was a big part of it as well. I think anytime you play in the Middle East or the subcontinent at that time of year, the dew is a huge factor. Right. We played some bloody good cricket right throughout though. So yeah, we won a lot of tosses, but at the same time we still played well.
Yeah.
It's true that the white ball team, as helmed by you, has a different kind of vibe to the test team, doesn't it? Like there's a few different styles of alphas in the group. It's a little bit like looser and more fun.
The white ball team?
Yeah. Like it's just,
not at the top, it's not. 'Cause I was a grumpy prick a lot of the time, especially on the field. So I think if you talk to the guys who play under Paddy now, who played under me, they would say this is much more fun. I was quite demanding on the field. Paddy's a very relaxed, chilled out customer who follows the process and has faith in the process, which I do. But on the field, I'd lose my shit every now and then, particularly at Marnus.
Yeah, so we keep hearing, but like I mean, that actual World Cup win that wasn't foreseen, given that Hughes had been dusted by Bangladesh and the West Indies leading up to it, and there was a lot of I just seem to remember a lot of conjecture with JL stuff and flux in the team, and then all of a sudden, like the Bison is hitting the ball longer than anyone's ever seen before. Davey Warner's player of the tournament. Yep. Zorba probably should have been.
Yep. Wadey was clutch.
Wadey clutch coming in late. Yeah. Everything just seemed to click. Is it really just pure captaincy and leadership that made that happen?
Always. No, I think if you go back to the West Indies tour, that was a really difficult tour. There was COVID. It was we were locked down for a period while we were in the West Indies. I mean, we're in Barbados, staying at a beachside resort, but we weren't allowed to leave our room for 4 days.
Oh, yeah,
right. That is hell. That was torture. And then I flew home from the West Indies to have knee surgery, and the boys continued on to Bangladesh. And the wickets that they were playing on there, they were ridiculous. There was turning square from ball one. I think if you provided conditions to a club side, they would even walk away on them and say, this is unfair. We're not playing on these wickets. So I don't think you can take those two into account. When we turned up, we were really clear with how we wanted to play. The difference that we had once we crunched all the numbers and went through everything, and the one thing that kept coming back was power play wickets. So for a long time, we'd had the structure of 5 bowlers in the team.
Yeah.
2
that was
spinners.
a JL thing, right? Didn't he like that? 6 and 5? Yeah.
Yeah, 2 spinners, 2 quicks. 2 spinners, 3 quicks.
Yeah.
But the more that we kept going into the numbers is if you didn't get power play wickets, you didn't win the game. So it was regardless of how good your death bowling was, how good your spinner was. If you're bowling to Rohit Sharma in the 15th over, you're cooked anyway. You could have the best ever bowling and you're still going to get pumped. So it was that was a really late decision and a really tough decision on Ashton Agar because he was the one who missed out after being arguably our best player for 2 years in the lead up, and we wanted to go with the aggression of the wrist spin of Zamps, and then it was genuinely out of Cummins or Hazelwood to be that third quick, the second quick, but then to play them both and be able to go really aggressive in the power play and then use Maxwell and Marsh and Stoinis as your 5th bowler. That was a big decision to make, but the more we kept crunching the numbers, the more obvious it became. And once we stuck to that, we agreed on it, stuck to it, and it worked.
When you're saying these names, and you're like, oh yeah, Australia's got some really good cricketers. Like they really do. But international cricket, like everyone's good, right?
Yeah.
But like I still can't believe that they've just won the World Cup. Like in India there at Ahmedabad in the final game. Like that is so. Do you think it's the best World Cup win ever?
Has to be. Yeah. With everything stacked against you, wickets as well.
Yeah, of course.
To some degree.
Yeah. India is so good.
India were unbelievable. They were flawless right throughout.
Yeah.
Except for 2 overs, I reckon. The first 2 overs that Hazelwood and Starc bowled at them in Chennai.
Oh yeah.
With our 3 for 2. That was their only wobble for the whole tournament. And then for Australia to come out in the final and be as ruthless as they were, especially on the back of Rohit Sharma, the first 5 overs, 6 overs, he just teed off as he was doing all tournament and pumped them. Travis Head. So Rohit Sharma's a pretty unlucky bloke. Travis Head held on to one for a start.
Heady said that himself.
The bin lid,
Exactly right. So that was the turning point. And then, I mean, the planning and preparation that went into winning that final with Andrew McDonald and Pat Cummins, and the execution was unbelievable.
What about him bowling first? Oh, I couldn't believe it when he bowled. Like
it's the only choice you could make, though.
Really?
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, come on, Finchie, get in there. Yeah.
Well, especially
was that obvious to you? No one else.
Well, it was, and I still took big balls to do it.
Yeah.
And I was chatting to Andrew McDonald the night before.
Yes.
And I said, you got got to do something to beat India. He goes, don't worry. He goes, we'll put the balls on the line tomorrow and see how we go. But
hell yeah! I thought we just won it again.
but
What else you guys talk about?
the contrast in red soil and black soil wickets, which often get talked about in India, is red soil deteriorate and they crumble, and if they start dry, they get drier. Even if there's dew, the ball still spins miles. Black soil wickets, they'll start out a little bit tacky, but then once the dew comes, it turns into a highway.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you had to take that into account as well. You look at all the games that were there during IPL, which that was heavy dew. So it was a no-brainer decision in the end. But a World Cup final, especially Australia's philosophy generally has been in big games, put a total on the board and defend. And it's worked for Australia for such a long time.
Yeah.
To have the nuts to do it against India, who'd been so dominant. Yeah. They got 400, close to 400 in the semi-final against a good New Zealand attack as well. Hats off.
The bit that I find difficult to compute in and around all of that, when you say that there was only one decision that could be made with that deck, given all of the knowledge that you had, McDonald had, red soil, black soil, gold jacket, green jacket, whatever.
Should be Shooter McGavin.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't apply at all because that's who gives a shit, but it makes a real difference. The powers that be, the Brains Trust knew, with all of your experience of cricket in India, that you actually needed to bowl first from a skills, a tactical perspective. We live in Australia always believing, like many other countries do, that conditions are rigged against us in India. How did India come to the conclusion then, if Rohit's telling the truth, that with all of that knowledge, they would have batted first?
No chance.
You just think he just said that?
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of the time...
So as to not concede that the toss had gone against them.
Well, he said it at the toss.
Yeah.
So he said, we would have batted first, which I don't think that he would have. I think everything that you know about the Indian team, their history of chasing totals is unbelievable. But maybe the only thing that he was thinking is, if we get enough runs, if we get 350, if you chase that down in a final, you take your hat off to the opposition. But... no, I think they still would have bowled first if they had won the toss.
All the chat going into the game was that Australia needed to win the toss and bat, given India's how good India had been in the first innings.
Yep.
So is it possible that India was trying to double bluff Australia?
Potentially.
Into batting on that, so.
Potentially.
Can I ask another question? As a captain who's just said that Rohit might have just been talking shit at the toss. They weren't your words, they were mine. Have you ever done that at the toss and said, oh yeah, we would have done X when you were going to do the opposite?
Every time there was a toss that I lost, if we'll send into bat, I would have said, we would have bowled first. If we have to bowl first, I would have loved to have batted first on this wicket. Always. Because then it gives you a little out at the end.
Yeah.
You go, see, we just got the worst of the conditions.
Yeah.
That was always my philosophy.
Yeah.
But I would always wear, and I did it subconsciously, I think, out to the toss, I would always wear a long sleever if I wanted to bowl first and a short sleever if I wanted to bat first.
Fucking hell, that's quite who told you that? Who told you that you had that tell?
Well, I worked it out in the end.
You worked it out, right?
I worked it out because I don't want to walk out in the sun and sweat in my shirt, then have to change and like a long sleever to take it off. And then if the change rooms are generally pretty cold places with a lot of aircon pumping, and then you hang your shirt up, then you go to put it back on when you walk out the field in the second half and it's still wet. Jeez, that's horrific.
Yeah.
It's like putting your shirt on at the beach. It's shocking.
You guys wouldn't know that. No.
I don't get this rig out at the beach.
The World Cup final was like a month ago, but and obviously there's been a test match since then, and a very important T20I series. But I'm still I want to talk about it with people, because I feel like we need to celebrate it more, because it was on at 3 a.m. here in Melbourne, and then they played that fucking dog shit 5-match series that no one cares about. They're like, just bring the boys home, let them celebrate. Are you the same? I want to talk about it for an hour with you, even though there's heaps of other cricket to talk about, but. Do you think the boys have been celebrated enough for winning what is, in my mind anyway, the best World Cup win ever?
No, I don't think that they have been. And because people sort of drip feed home.
Exactly.
So you've got some guys that come home immediately. You got some who came home after 2 games of the T20 International Series, or T20s. And the rest of the guys come home at the end. So there wasn't a big welcome home type thing. I think Pat Cummins got 2 autographs and a selfie with,
that's right.
with an 8-year-old kid at Sydney Airport, but that was it.
Someone pretended to be his driver and shook his hand and went out the door. Yeah.
So when we won it in 2015, the next day we were at Fed Square. There was a huge turnout.
Yeah,
that was a parade, but it was just it was celebrated, and I think that's because it was in Australia. And then we went and drank piss for a couple of days.
Well, Bailey just broke in the World Cup, hadn't he? He just didn't he break an arm of it?
Don't know.
No, that's public, brother. It's been said like many times. Seriously, no, look at he's still a skipper.
I'm not trusting you on that. Which that was really cool. But then when we won it in Dubai, in the UAE, I think we got back to the hotel maybe 1 a.m. Some of the guys were leaving at 6 a.m. because they had to be on a charter flight to get back because it was still COVID times.
Oh yeah, right.
To stay like bubble to bubble with the test matches coming home, which helped out with quarantine, training and stuff like that. And then the rest of us stayed there and then caught a commercial flight home.
Yeah, because then
ski goggles. Were you a ski goggles man for that?
Oh, that blew my mind when the boys pulled them out after the.
Who brought them? Swepo,
Zamps.
Yeah, Zamp would be.
There was a couple of the guys who bought them on eBay, I think, or not on Amazon.
Right.
Yeah.
Purely to celebrate winning the World Cup. I was shitting myself turning up to it.
Yeah.
Let alone thinking about winning it.
But you must have just talking about being like celebrated, because that was such a great win as well. You guys like being underdogs, I think. Well, sorry, not in the team's eyes, obviously, but at TGC's eyes.
Yeah.
And so like you must have felt that the 2022 World Cup, which was the one that ended up being at home.
Yeah.
You must have felt like, that would be like the coronation. You know, like that'd be the one where we can, because we're at home and we're a good shot of doing it again. And obviously you basically got to wash out against England, right?
at the
And didn't
MCG.
and obviously losing to New Zealand wasn't great starting, but like you must have felt like we're going to be celebrated if we do it again at home.
Yeah, you always think about that, and especially being defending champions in a format that traditionally we've fallen short of, short of the mark. So coming back to that was difficult because we had a lot of expectation and pressure, which we didn't have any other time because no one, including you guys, didn't think we could win it in Dubai. So it was a really strange one because the year before, South Africa won 4 out of 5 games and missed the semis.
Yeah.
We lost 1 game and missed the semis this time, and it turns out it was net run rate. So it's a brutal format of the game, the T21, and people, like, I don't read a huge amount of stuff, cricket or otherwise, but it was people are saying, well, it's been a disastrous World Cup campaign for Australia. We lost 1 game.
Yeah.
Like, so was it disastrous? We got pumped in the first game against New Zealand. They caught us off guard, and from there you're chasing your tail a little bit. But then you have the washout against England, which I think at that time we could have beaten them. No other time in T20 cricket we looked like getting near them. In Dubai they pumped us.
Yeah.
Josh Butler was running down the wicket to length balls and hitting them 250 metres. That was some of the best batting I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But overall, we were looking forward to that World Cup and just, that first game got away from us.
Yeah.
I felt like it was an interesting World Cup in terms of just having a look at where like T20 cricket is in Australia, and also like where it is with the fans. Someone like you has, you've plied your trade for a decade in the format, including going over to India, playing the IPL, the top level of the game. You've captained Australia to T20 World Cup wins, trophies. I felt like when that World Cup came around that it demonstrated a little bit that for Australians that we still are not really native to the T20 format as fans, and I wonder how much of that is influenced by the fact that the peak competition, the IPL, happens when we're asleep.
Yep.
There are so many movements in the game suggesting that T20 cricket is going to become the primary format if it isn't already in a lot of corners. Do you think about whether Australia as a cricketing culture is well set or prepared for that? Because it seems to me like our fans still just like the Australian summer, the tests when they're on. It's just that all the movements economically seem to suggest that it's going to be hard to maintain.
Absolutely, it will be hard to maintain. And I think we don't play nearly as much T20 cricket in Australia as the rest of the world. So if you're talking India, they've got the IPL obviously, but then they've also got their domestic competition below that, which is there's a huge T20 focus as well. they've also got each state will then have a T20 competition. So you got the Karnataka Premier League down in Bangalore and Tamil Nadu Premier League, and they're all around the country. So these guys are playing like 50, 60 T20 games a year. For an Australian player just playing domestic cricket, you play 10 now that the Big Bash is on. In Melbourne in particular, the club T20s are only happening, they started on the weekend.
Yeah.
And guys that are playing Big Bash are taken out of them. So people, even the domestic players in Australia might be playing 10, 12, 15 games if they don't play anywhere else around the world. So there's a lot less content than there is anywhere else. So the Australian public can be really, really fickle at times, can't they? Because if you're going well, they don't want you to go too well. Because then the game's too easy. We won't come and watch because Australia will just win. And if you're going poorly, they won't come and watch because
we want
the team's
heads.
poor.
We want blood,
and heads have to roll. So
heads must roll.
It can be really, it can be really fickle at times playing cricket for Australia.
Oh yeah, it must be. How did you feel about your retirement from the game, international game? I mean, because obviously you're still playing for the Renegades, but and presumably for Geelong as well. Obviously on weekends.
Yeah, you'll be
I
playing.
didn't make it on the weekend.
Didn't make it.
So not selected. Or?
I was down with COVID.
Okay,
First time ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, congrats.
You got you have a secret to that point? Like, is it no jab or anything?
Whiskey.
That's why you say whiskey, because Gilly believes in tequila.
Tequila.
Shout out to Club Prairie Fire.
Yeah.
Good cast.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm told it. No. No, I've listened to it. It's good. It's good. Club Prairie Fire is good.
Do you ever-
Good lads.
What? Oh, sorry, the podcast. I thought you were talking about a type of tequila.
I don't know what tequila has, but he swears on a tequila every day.
Yeah, tequila every day.
Yeah, and he hasn't had COVID yet.
Yeah.
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 I literally I
Are you
tested
whiskey for you?
whiskey. I tested positive on Friday.
Okay. So
Negative on Sunday. I
2 days.
I promise you.
Yeah.
It was the strangest thing. Maybe it was a false positive,
Okay.
but anyway,
Well, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit sick actually.
if anyone's got COVID who's been around me,
Yeah. Apologies.
Sorry about that. Do you have some sort of are you memorialised some way at Geelong Cricket Club?
no.
No, nothing.
Tell you what I used to have there.
Surely there's got to be something there for
Yeah, I
Finchy.
thought there was.
I used to have a net.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've spoken about
Aaron
this
Finch
before.
nets.
Yeah, the
I feel like that's
nets.
No,
under.
it
I feel like that's unders.
It wasn't a net. It was a net.
We'll give him one.
We'll give him a net.
Net, and that sign is no longer there.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Really?
said, I'm not playing again until you get my name back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But what did happen? So it's the David Kelly Nets, who was the president at the time. He put a lot of work into getting all the facilities.
Yeah.
And then there's the Ian Redpath net, Wayne Phillips, but basically guys from the area who've played Test cricket or cricket for Australia. And then I had mine. So theirs were all green because I'd played Test cricket. Mine was yellow because I hadn't played Test cricket at that stage.
Right.
So last time I played there, I said, "Where's my green?"
Yeah.
I played Test cricket.
Like
Yeah.
Test.
Not very well,
That'll be
but I still
green.
played.
Yeah.
That's all right.
And next thing I know, it's been taken down. Maybe I'll cause too much of an uproar at the club.
Yeah. just the whole thing's taken down. See you later.
Yeah. Hasn't gone back up yet.
So like when you played the 2022 World Cup and then that's when you stopped after that, didn't you?
Just before that, I retired from ODIs.
ODIs.
There was no ODIs for quite a while, and then
Yeah.
World Cup finished November, late November, and then I retired middle of January.
Yeah,
And it was
okay.
pretty clear then.
So the tournament had finished
Yes.
and then you decide. So I was,
A couple of months later, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So at that time during the World Cup, you were still intent on perhaps going through? Like you hadn't made up your mind that you were going to, like this was going to be it? for
No,
you?
no, I hadn't made it up yet, but
no.
it become pretty clear.
Okay.
What's it like going through that? I mean,
It's amazing.
maybe it's amazing.
it's amazing when you finally come to the decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so,
There's been
it's so
the
freeing.
noise around it, like as in, it must be very stressful. It's very easy to sit on a podcast and like you're here now in the
It is
flesh
easy.
as an actual
It's easy.
human. You know, you haven't used the bathroom here yet, but you're welcome. I'm just trying to pull out the realness of you being a person. Whereas like when you're like a stupid pundit, you can speak about people, and we often do, with so much like a blithe disregard about their life and who they are, and just like, oh mate, Finch is getting the front pad, blow off, and off, see you later. I know I can make that joke because you've made that joke on TV, but like we're talking about it with David Warner now, for example, as well. I mean, what was the experience like for you when the chorus rises of people saying we don't want you there anymore, even though you've given so much, and how? So maybe answer that first, and we can talk about Warner after that.
Well, the public stuff has no effect,
right,
on me personally, because I didn't read it, and because you don't need to.
Are you just hearing for the first time from me now that people are talking about it? I'm sorry.
He's always on.
People have told me.
Okay,
people have told me. But but you don't need to. You don't need to read shit. Most of it's shit. You don't need to read that when you're playing poorly, because you already know.
Yeah.
And you don't need to read it when you're going well, because you already know. If you're playing well, you know you're playing well.
Yeah.
So it's never bothered me. And if people are critical of my game or anything like that, no issues, because that's purely numbers based thing. You're either getting runs or you're not. So I've got no issues with anything in that regard. And I was probably lucky throughout my career is I didn't do enough to piss the public off. So no one ever came at me personally or anything.
I see what you mean by that, but yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? Like there's no
You didn't have any ill will towards you. You had goodwill from the public.
Yeah. I think so, because being a normal person generally does that. Like if you ever run into people and you're having a beer at the pub and you chat with them for half an hour, people generally think you're a nice guy.
Yeah.
So I never had any ill will, like you said.
Yeah.
Maybe every now and then, but nothing that stands out to me that goes, geez, that really got to me.
Yeah. So it's funny though, because like you might have even said this before, but I can't place it where you've said it, but like you were such a worldie, Finchy. Like I think about like the memories you gave me as a fan, like that 160 you got in England. Was that what did you get? 160?
156.
156.
Off 63.
Sorry, of course. Yeah.
That's where the 60 was coming in.
Yeah, of course.
10 fours, 14 sixes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, he's one of them.
He showed me his wagon wheel before he came in. It was kind of weird, like World Cup wins, he was such a big part of the Big Bash as well, like setting that up and making that great, and like. But then you play Test cricket, and you just did it yourself. Like you had to go Test cricket, and then you were like, I wasn't any good at it. So like, how good you have to be for like the public to start calling you shit. Like no, if you failed in like Shield cricket, no one cares. But if you fail in like international cricket, then people are like, he's terrible. He's a terrible cricketer. It's weird. Yeah,
it is weird, and even now looking back at my career and some of the really cool things that I did, whether it be a good innings or big wins or like World Cup wins and stuff.
Yeah.
I always struggle to see myself as a player. I was just trying to do my job as well as I could. Whether I did it well or not on that particular day, it's quite irrelevant. But I would bat with David Warner, and I'd bat with Steve Smith, and bat with Glenn Maxwell and these guys, and I'm like, who are these guys? Like these guys are up here with their skill level. I'm down here. Like how do you comprehend that? So I didn't really in the end, and you just admire it for what it is.
Yeah.
But then other people would see me slightly different as well.
Yeah.
I think I had skills that they didn't have, and it's generally things that you can't do personally that you envy so much in other people.
Right.
Like hitting it before it hits your front pad. Like, cheers. Coming here and just keep getting my front pad ripped off into retirement.
There was a big front pad at the end.
It was, absolutely was. And Trent Bolt had a laser beam on it.
No, I'm just really curious about that, like that little insight that you bat with these other guys, and you feel like they're on a different plane, and you're just like a normal guy or whatever. Because I personally didn't see it that way. It was, and quite often you dominated those guys. You know, when you're at the crease, do you like?
It was just what they could do that I couldn't. Like Maxie being able to hit the ball 360 around the ground was extraordinary. Steve Smith to be able to walk across his stumps at will and hit them anywhere he wanted, how much time he had, that blew my mind, because you'd face the same bowlers in the nets. Cummins, Starc, Hazelwood, with brand new balls every net session.
Oh, fuck that.
And it was, as I got closer to I never really feared batting in the nets at all. Mitchell Johnson, he was different. That was genuine fear. And I'll just try and survive. Whereas Shane Watson, he would go into the nets and he would like be playing every shot in the book and pumping them.
Yeah.
And then I'd bat and I'm like, shit, I am no good compared to him. And then you'd go out into the middle and you're facing the same bowlers and how much time they had compared to how much you had. But then you'd speak to them, they go, geez, you look like you had time today. I'm like, really? So then you go back and watch innings that you've played to see what your footwork patterns were like. But to go back to when I worked out, I was going to retire. I knew that I was really close. And my time was when I stopped really wanting to go to training in internationals. I was like, if I get a duck today, I don't care. Like,
yeah, right.
I was my last 3 games were against New Zealand. They were in Cairns Cairns.
Oh, yeah.
And after the first game, I was like, do I want to be doing this? Trent Bolt running and blowing my front pad off again. And I wasn't enjoying. I always loved planning and preparation, like as a captain, and I was still loving doing that. But then I was like, oh, I don't want to bat in the nets today, and fielding practice, geez, that's going to be tough. So that's when I knew. And once I decided, I spoke to my wife about it, and she's like, well, if that's how you feel, pull the pin. And that was for ODIs. And then at the time, actually, Andrew McDonald said, just have some time off after this because we had a little break and play the irrelevant games at the back end of that T20 World Cup against England, the 3 ODIs. He said,
Drunk England threes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and he goes, you can finish your career. I think that would have been my 150th ODI finishing at the MCG. And I'm like, no, it doesn't interest me one bit.
Yeah,
so,
right.
But it was a good feeling once you come to terms with it.
Can I this is a really like broad question, but I just think it's an interesting one in terms of perspective. A lot of people would hear you go, oh, I'm batting at the other end to these guys who are worldies and I don't sort of have the time of them or whatever. Like, I think about someone like Mike Hussey, right, who came into international cricket or test cricket relatively late. He had to wait a long time. He did debut when he was 30, and he amasses thousands and thousands of runs at a great average and ends up playing 70 tests or something like that.
That's right, yeah.
And I wonder whether he feels like he only got half the career that he could have. He could have been a super worldie who debuted at 20. He was playing at the time and had things been different, he may have. And I've always wanted to ask him how he feels about his career, even though it looks amazing. Like, how do you feel about your career in terms of attainment? I mean, a lot of people on the street are like, World Cup winning captain, dual, baggy green, plays for Australia. But I know people who have played at your level, sometimes the appetite's insatiable and they're never satisfied or whatever. Like, do you look back in your career? You played IPL, you've done everything. Do you look back and go, I'm unders, like heart of hearts, or are you like, I did it, I did the thing, I played for Australia.
Yeah, I'm really proud of my career.
Yeah.
And I think if you separate it, if you take the test match, the 5 tests that I played as a separate one, I'm proud that I played 5 tests. I'm also proud that I worked out I wasn't good enough to open the batting anyway in test cricket in Australia or whether it be in England, because that's a totally different game. So I'm still proud that I had the opportunity to do it, and I think I got a couple of 50s. But white ball cricket, I think I'm proud of what I achieved, whether both personally and as a captain of Australia. So I think they're just things that you don't think about until you finish. And like you said about Mike Hussey, like the boys used to tell stories about walking out to bat with Huss and say, what's the ball do? Oh, it's reverse swing, and I don't know how I can score a run. Like, I don't know where I can get a run off this guy. I said, mate, you're 60 off 30. What are you talking about? But like you said, it's
I wish I was that shit.
Yeah. It's just the insatiable appetite to always be better, and that gets some people going. Like the chaotic nature of white ball cricket is, geez, I don't know how I'm going to do it. Bang, 6. Well, that's how you do it, Huss. Whereas other guys like to be really methodical and work out or have a plan before they go out to bat on how they're going to attack certain players. So that's just one of those things that I think everyone would judge their careers differently. But I'm very content with how mine went.
You mentioned before about Mitch Johnson facing him in the nets was just fear. Like, what was it about him? Because, I mean, I know he can crank it up to sort of 140s or maybe even 150. He might have touched that different points. But you would have faced, like, when Siddle first came in, he was around that mark as well. Like, what was it about Mitch compared to Hazelwood, Cummo, Starc, etc., that was just a little bit more
left arm,
yeah, into the front elbow,
rib cage,
fuck that,
armpit,
erratic.
Well, he was on song for a long time through there, so you never worried.
I mean, more like he can bowl multiple lengths. I don't want to sledge Mitch Johnson.
I thought you talked about his riding.
Yeah,
no, like, and it was fast, and it was never. All right, I'm just going to warm into it, and you'll get your first 10 minutes of your net. Like just trying to work on something. If he was working on something, he'd do it separately. When the batters walked into the nets, he was ready to go, and it was going to be on, and that was so hard. It was, I mean. Yuck. Yeah. It was brutal. And then you got Mitchell Starc, who's always a lot fuller, but swinging it.
Yeah.
And every now and then when he pulls his length back, that's rib cage and armpit.
Comes from so high as well, Starc, because he's taller than Mitch Johnson, but his action's higher as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So, like, hard to get forward to it, even though he's bowling fuller.
I never get forward. Well, anytime I did get forward, my front pad locked off. And
got 9-11, yeah.
He's not touching that. Did you reserve a special amount of like pace for Davey?
I didn't see that coming. No, I think he broke his thumb once in the whacker nets.
How are we talking?
At the Gloucester Park end, there used to be a little ridge in the nets, and I actually got dropped from the one day side. Mitch Johnson broke Davey's thumb in the nets, clipped I think it was his bottom thumb, broke that. Then I got back into the side and was never technically dropped because I didn't miss a game. So, he was ugly to face.
Yeah.
What have you made of that? Like Farrago as teammates, you know?
It was when you get a bit personal. That's probably it's not ideal, is it? And well, he admitted it himself. He said that was probably one place that he wished he didn't go with that. But Davey, I mean, anytime he's backed into a corner, he does well. And he just time after time. And I spoke to him the other day, and he said, "You'd think after 15 years I'd know," which is so good. What do
you say to that? Like, sure, like do you go like, that's right, Bull. You're the man. You know, like it's
but it is right.
I know. But do you say it like as his mate? You know, it's like, okay, mate.
I was sorry. It was just text. So
okay,
yeah.
You think they'd know?
Yeah, you think they know by now. 15 years at the top of the game. How are you enjoying the commentary? Because like, mate,
loving it.
I know you're sitting here, but I genuinely reckon I think you're great.
Yeah.
I think that you also have a nice like connection to the players still as well, and you're playing. You still are playing a very good level of cricket. But like I like it that you've got.
I'm playing at a very good level of cricket. The competition's very good.
The competition.
My level is not quite as good as what it used to be.
But I really like. As I said, I think you're fantastic because like you're still in the game and you're close to the plays and stuff, and so you still have like insights which I feel like are really relevant as well. But like, I mean, we were just talking before. You obviously are going to continue doing commentary, and we'll hopefully hear more from you for the summer. But you're obviously enjoying it as well.
Loving it. Yeah. I think leaving playing and trying to find something else that you're passionate about is really important, and it's something everyone used to tell me you've got to find something outside of cricket to do. Well, I didn't.
Yeah, same, mate.
Yeah. But I love doing it, and there's been some good feedback, so that's been really good. I did a few ODIs in the lead up to the last IPL World Cup. I'll do a bit over the summer, IPL again, World Cup again. So yeah, that's something that I love doing. And keeps you connected to the game, like you said, because it can be pretty easy to just drift away from it, and then to come back, especially if you wanted to get into commentary, then that's a pretty tough way to get back in. So doing it while you're still connected to the game is important, I think, and I've loved every minute of it.
On the road a lot, I'd imagine still. I mean, you are on the road a lot.
On the road a lot.
Yeah.
The schedule during the World Cup, that was pretty brutal. I think I had... Up until the semi-final, I think I'd had 4 days where I had nothing on. The rest I did 20 games at the ground, so live commentary on the world feed, plus the Star Sports 90-minute pre-show, post-show. So that was long. There was some long days when you get up at 4:30 in the morning to go catch a flight to commentate, but you're on air at 12 o'clock for the pre-show. So you got enough time to get your suit pressed when you get to the hotel, and then you're literally out the door 20 minutes later. Get to sleep maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning after you wind down. Winding down, like, that's not even having time to have a drink or anything.
Yeah.
It's just purely winding down after the game, and then 4:30 your alarm goes off and you're in a different city doing
Fuck,
it.
it's a lot, isn't it?
To do that a couple of days in a row wears
yeah.
you down and takes a while to recover.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
And then you do it to yourself a few times when you do get a day off.
Yeah.
Instead of
Maybe just
recharging,
push through.
instead of recharging, you really grind yourself into the ground.
Have you got to go soon?
Soon, yeah,
Soon?
that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. No, not really, actually.
I've gotta get to-
You'll go when we leave.
I've got to get to the junction for training.
That's all right. You got enough cash. Just on the commentary, do you what sort of style do you want to take into it? Because, you know, you got some of your teammates who like, or former teammates who like would just want to, you know, fire shots at guys to get them going. Like, do you feel like some of the greats of the game or the elder statesmen who commentate have a real grasp of how the game is being played these days? And when you commentate, like, how much are you saying versus what you actually know or observe on the field? Because I'm sure there's considerations around what the public's willing to ingest or know about.
Yeah, there's times when you have to be almost second guess yourself a little bit. But if the game's been played in front of you and you comment on that, like, as a player, I never had an issue, and I know the players now. If you're commenting purely on performance, then there's no issue. If someone plays a bad shot, it's a bad shot. You can butter it up a million different ways, but it's still a bad shot, whether you say it or not. And you always do say it. And I haven't done enough stuff away from the game in terms of, like, I've never written, so I haven't gone down that path yet, or of doing opinion pieces and stuff like that, which that can, you have to be a bit more controversial at times if you want to do them to get noticed. So it's not something that I want to do. But as a player, you understand when you've got a responsibility to call it out if someone's not performing as well.
All right, I know you got to go in a second. We're going to talk later in the show about the IPL auction and the mini auction and all that sort of shit. But make some predictions before people actually find out what happens tonight at the auction. You know, like who do you think's going to go for a lot? And
Starkey.
Starkey just for bulk bunts.
Smith going to get picked up?
No.
Okay.
Not in my
Heady?
opinion.
No.
Travis Head, quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ratchin Ravindra?
lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Hardik, captain Mumbai, displacing Rohit. That's a massive story.
Big story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. I think...
Looking
I see that
into the distance. Thinking, what am I going to say?
Did I see that the Mumbai Indians Instagram followers went down by 500,000?
I thought, yeah.
Because you can be a
500,000,
Rohit fan and not a Mumbai fan, right? Like, that's how it works.
Yeah,
it's just players.
absolutely. Yeah, they're really connected to players, and I reckon it would have taken a lot of people off guard, taken them by surprise. I think 5-time winning captain. It's been brilliant, and I think people have been upset with how it's been released. I think if Rohit come out and said, I think that this is the best thing for the Mumbai Indians going forward to have sustainable success, and I'm going to step down but continue to play.
Yeah.
I think it might have been received a bit better. How long that's been in place for, I'm not sure.
Crazy. You know way more than that. Aaron Finch, thanks so much for your generosity of your time. Love having you on the couch. Love to do something with you down the track as well. Best of luck with the Gades, and sure.
Cheers. Thanks, boys.
No worries. Cheers, Finchy.
Thank you very much to Finchy for joining us in studio. We actually decided to push the podcast back. It was going to come out yesterday, but we decided to push it back a day to get Finchy in the studio. His availability meant that we could get him today, so we thought it best to have him in here. So much better like having guys in here for a chat, you know? Well, obviously, we've been very fortunate to speak to many guys over Zoom and that sort of thing, like even Stuart Broad recently. That's all well and good over Zoom. We make do, but having him in here, just sit down, have a conversation with these guys, learn more about them, what their stories are, look them in the fucking eyes, you know? Look them in the eyes, not just the eyes, the fucking eyes, you know? And just see if they're painted on or what's doing. The IPL auction is happening tonight, Pezza. And there's been a little bit of movement, but not nearly as much movement for Nonces when they did the mock auction last night for Gio Cinema.
Gio.
So Gio. I say Gio.
Yeah.
Gio.
Wow.
Yeah, wowee. So they did a mock auction last night. People covering it as well. It's kind of weird seeing like transfer chat in cricket.
Yeah.
You know, like I can get on board with it.
There's a big one that's happened. Like, look, the actual auction's tonight, so it's a shame that we're not coming in tomorrow, because tomorrow when we wake up, some bastard's going to have made several million for 6 weeks work or whatever, and good luck to them. Yeah. Of course.
Well, Tom Moody said that he doesn't think that Starc is just going to get picked up. He's going to break the record. The record is owned by Sam Curran.
In the mock auction, which I definitely didn't watch, Starc ended up the highest paid. Mike Hessen from RCB picked him up in the mock auction.
In the mock auction.
This is blokes playing with dolls.
This is doll stuff. Yeah. Hard.
But it's very significant, because I'm sure, without even having looked at the numbers, that TV event will outstrip anything that Australian cricket has offered. Perhaps, as you said off air, he goes, any show in the world at that time.
That was on last night. Yeah. That would be the most watched show last night.
Once again, the IPL is the main game in cricket economics, and also the main circus for its best white ball or short form players.
Right.
And the chat going into the auction is that Starc's going to go for squillions. He hasn't been around for 10 years or whatever the fuck it is. And Heady's in the auction as well.
Yep.
Now, will he be punished by Indians for his innings in the World Cup final, or will he be rewarded?
Is he really the father of India?
Indeed. Will he be able to progress from his previous role in the IPL, which is being a decoy for AB de Villiers as a reserve for RCB? I say yes to Heady. But the big story in the IPL is that Mumbai Indians have secured the services of Hardik Pandya, who has been like a stalwart for them for a long time, but went to Gujarat for a couple of years. Massive move.
Captain
won the
there.
IPL.
Yeah, then run up next year.
Yeah, and Mumbai have secured his return. Now, the great controversy over this is, what does this mean for Rohit? Because one of Hardik's preconditions for returning was to be captain.
Must be captain
of Mumbai, and it was granted by the powers that be. And they are powerful people at Mumbai Indians. What does this mean for India's literal captain, who has been the captain of the Mumbai Indians and with great success for a long period of time?
IPLs. Equal with Dhoni.
Wins it about every other year.
Yeah.
Rohit Sharma, whose form at the World Cup was almost incomparable, particularly at the start.
Yep.
People are suggesting, now this is the transfer chat. It's as big as it gets.
Yeah.
People are, does Rohit up and leave
apparently,
Mumbai?
Apparently Delhi tried to get him, but then he can't because he's under contract still, so he can't actually leave. That's
when you'd be talking some fees.
Yeah.
I'd imagine, without any idea of the economics of these things. I'm sure we'll be told in the comments. But like, also Hardik just coming in with the Indian captain there. Like, do they have conversations in private? Look, brother, I'm coming back if I'm skip of Mumbai, the big city in India, and that will mean usurping you. We're not doing co-captain, we're not doing some Sydney Swans stuff. They're both big Swans fans. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking leadership group gear rotating through.
No.
I want the armband.
Yeah. Well, apparently Jay Warden has said that this is part of the transitional period from going from Rohit into a new captain, a new era for the MI franchise, globally speaking as well.
Is it some kind of like emblematic indicator of Rohit's future as the Indian captain as well? Given that T20 World Cup is coming up, they have not got the result they wanted at the World Cup.
Hasn't Rohit been through enough?
Mate, the big bear cops a lot, but you're Indian captain. I'm a massive fan. I'm a massive fan of Rohit, but I like the energy, I like the alpha, I like the casual stuff, but don't poke it. You know what I'm saying? It's great to watch. Does Rohit, and this is probably getting a bit X's and O's and crow's feet for Aussie people who are asleep during the IPL, but like Rohit in a different coloured jersey that's therapy. That's like my world's tilted off its axis in terms of like people looking strange in different jerseys. Any sport.
Imagine if he was like a KKR in purple. That'd look fucking weird to me.
Yeah, or Chennai.
Yeah, I can sort of see it in Chennai though.
You can see that?
I can sort of see
What jerseys you wanting to see Aussies in? Because Starc's back, Cummins is back in the auction, Heady's there,
Heads.
Josh Inglis, you haven't really seen him in too many IPL games.
Ratchan Ravindra,
yeah. What do you want to see Cummins in? Like, I'd like to see them at big market teams, I have to say, like with respect to the others. Like,
there's three of them, really.
Yeah, Chennai, RCB and Mumbai.
Yeah. I can see Cummins in RCB, kid.
Can ya? Because Cameron Green's there.
Yeah. But then he's
Mumbai
gonna
going to look after him for 10 years. Next auction, back him, Hardik's back.
I mean, Cummins at Bangalore, the smallest and flattest ground in the country. That is a graveyard for the bowlers.
Just a pretty important article through the week as well. He goes, I know it was day 4 at the test in Perth, so we're gripped.
Yeah.
But it's coming from moneycontrol.com in India.
My Bible.
So plans afoot, apparently, or reports emerging that that the IPL, BCCI and the IPL are looking to carve out a September-October window for another installment of the IPL.
Thank God.
Potentially a T10 or 100 format this time. And in the report it says marquee bilateral red ball properties such as the Ashes, India v England, India v Australia, and even India v South Africa, among a few others, will survive while the rest of the calendar will begin to veer towards franchise cricket. Now, interestingly, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, he goes, looking to boost tourism, has already shown major interest in partnering with Indian cricket, right?
Yeah.
Now, where is the IPL auction being held tonight? I actually don't know.
Is it at the Junction?
No, it's being held in Dubai.
Is it?
All right, so ties between India and the Middle East are strengthening.
Yeah.
And
the whole IPL is sponsored by visitsaudi.com.
And so, when these reports emerge, it's like okay, that's been briefed.
Yeah.
It also says in this report, the only cricketing body that will be in a position to stand on their legs is the ECB, because the summer months in the UK allowed them to position themselves uniquely given the weather patterns in the lower hemisphere during those months. So you're looking at another couple of months of the IPL. You're looking at the monopoly board being bought up and diminishing amounts of space for the things that we grew up with. But coin, on the other hand, there's bunts, and that's also a driving force in society.
Like we've been sort of like following this for the last couple of years, and like it's so obvious like what's going to happen, but still when it does happen and when it does start to happen, I'm still like, oh my God, wow, like the sheer power of it is just overwhelming. Like this is exactly what it's going to be. But like I'm still, anytime this sort of news comes up, not this news, but this sort of news comes up, I'm still like, oh my God, like the game that I grew up with and like that I still enjoy even in this dog shit summer where I'm just watching fucking numbers and records and all that kind of stuff, which is great fun. But like even these summers I'm going to miss, because this is not going to be the case in like 15 years.
Definitely a poignancy to it, just as it was with the Ashes as well.
Yeah, last ever Ashes.
But the last TV rights, the IPL went for $6 billion.
Yeah,
like you're just adding another 2 months onto that. You can just see suits in boardrooms just looking at the numbers and just that fucking eyeballs popping out of their head like Looney Tunes.
But I mean, but Perth got 59,000 at the ground for the test match. So why don't they just play more tests? A couple more tests.
It's not directly eating into the Australian summer, but you're talking availabilities, you're talking other like that eats right into the CPL. But a lot of the CPL franchises are IPL owned franchises. So just saying that, like, if it's a monopoly board, they're buying up a lot of fucking property.
Mate, you wonder if actually a good result for Australian cricket, given that this is all going to happen, is that like there seems to be IPL sort of game during our summer instead of the Big Bash, or like the Big Bash becomes like some sort of franchise like that. I really haven't thought that through.
You talk private equity, and they buy into it.
My point being is like, how does the cricket that we get to see when it's on here in our summer, in times where we can watch it, how does that become the best cricket possible? And I really like I've not thought about this at all, but is that the way? Is that what that has to be?
Well,
it's scary.
I don't know. In 5 years' time or whatever, if more of that board is taken up by IPL-owned franchises and BCCI adjacent, or perhaps they've even transcended BCCI, they are in battle as well.
So another one just on top of that is that obviously Major League Cricket, which is mostly owned by IPL franchises, is pushing right up against the 100 next year.
Yeah, and the 100 is I think ahead of the BBL in entertaining private equity talks as well.
Right.
I mean, you can see the trend of where this is going. I'd say a rational economic analyst would say that the BBL going private equity is more a matter of when than if. Unless something changes in the strategic outlook of Cricket Australia, the ECB, and any other allies that may be looking to protect and continue to own their own space. The problem with the BBL as opposed to other T20 competitions is it's the only one in the major tournaments where Australia's best players are not available. And I think that comes back to the secret of the Australian summer, which is that like we watch it holus bolus as a mass audience for about 3 or 4 weeks a year. I know it sounds really cynical, but we try and cram in the best of our cricket during that time. If we were open to more cricket for longer that would then start to compete with things like Aussie rules and NRL, etc., I think that we would get the result that we've seen the last few years, which is that like fans aren't turning up or watching it, right? Again, we've talked about the T20 World Cup here last year. It took place in November. It looked sparse, you know? So Australia wants to own a space in the calendar and wants its best players available. Can that exist when you've got the three-peat issue of like Test cricket, BBL, and now the IPL trying to buy up more stuff?
Exactly.
I don't know.
There's only one winner there.
It looks like a trend to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, good news for Indian fans and Rishabh Pant fans and Delhi fans that Rishabh Pant is expected to be playing for Delhi in next year's IPL. Anyway, so that auction is tonight. Just staying with India, the Australian women are playing a test match starting on Thursday, Pezza.
Mate, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, mate, 100%. So India and Australia women, their only test match starts on Thursday at the Wankhede. That's in Mumbai. So India have just beaten England by 347 runs in Mumbai, not at the Wankhede, but a different ground in Mumbai. England captain Heather Knight said this afterwards: these conditions were extreme, and I'd be surprised if we face those again unless we play another test in India in the near future, which I'm not sure is the plan. We want to get better in conditions we might face in Bangladesh. Spin does dominate in the women's game, and if we can improve that, it will give us a big advantage. So India made 428, 4 half centuries for India there, and another 49 to the captain Harmanpreet Kaur before England were all out for 136 in the first innings, thanks to Deepti Sharma taking 5 for 7 off 5.3 overs.
Fuck.
She then also took 4 for 32 in the final innings to be player of the match, also scored 67 in the first innings as well. So fucking hell of a game for Deepti Sharma. England won the T20 series 2-1 before the test match. So this is a huge 12 months for women's cricket, generally speaking. Australia have this series, Australia's series is this test match, 3 ODIs and 3 T20s. So they've got this series in India, then a bilateral series in Bangladesh next year, in 2024 that is. Then they will be defending champions, of course, for the T20 World Cup, which is also in Bangladesh, which is in September and October. So, and also like women's cricket getting a little bit stronger across the board. I think Bangladesh just beat... Who was it? They just beat South Africa for the first time since like 2017 or something like that, or maybe first time ever. So, yeah, and I know Lisa Healy has said that those conditions are going to be really different to what they expect. Obviously, will be favourites because they're so good, but
hopefully a
hell of a challenge.
Hopefully, absolute ragger.
I'm looking forward to the test on Thursday.
Honestly, it's and so India should to knock these to knock the women off.
Yep,
just do it, and let's see how we go because we've got a couple of spinners ourselves. So play on, let's play. It's going to be good.
South Africa and India are in their own series at the moment in South Africa. So the 3-match T20 series was tied 1-1. It was a washout in Durban in the first game. India won the first of 3 ODIs in Joburg 2 nights ago. There are 2 tests to come in Centurion and Cape Town. India, of course, have never won a test series in South Africa. A bit of India team news. Mo Shami is out of the test series for India with an ankle injury. Ishan Kishan, who had kept in the tests against the West Indies in the West Indies when they smashed them over there, is also out of the tests after asking the BCCI to release him from the squad for personal reasons. So no Shami, no Ishan Kishan. But that is always a confusing one, that India have never won a test series in South Africa. We thought this last time when they went there in a 3-test series. India had obviously just beaten Australia after what we just called the Gabba series, chasing 300 and whatever it was, thanks to Rishabh Pant in that game. Then they went to South Africa not long after, maybe a year after that, and they could not beat South Africa. South Africa won that series 2-1, I think it was, couldn't win them. So another opportunity here for India to have a first by winning there. But guess we'll see what happens with that. West Indies versus England T20s. The West Indies lead the 5 T20 match series 2-1 at the moment. They were 2-0 up, but Phil Salt scored an unbeaten 109 off 56 to chase West Indies 222 with one ball to spare. Pressure appears to be mounting on Matthew Mott generally speaking, because it's not been a great run. I read this morning via Ali Martin. England players have been sequestered in their Port of Spain hotel after a man was shot dead yards from the front door of the building during their first night in Trinidad. The England and Wales Cricket Board security staff had already advised the players not to leave the Hyatt Regency except for their 2 scheduled matches, a pre-arranged round of golf and a single training session on Monday morning. But the severity of the threat was illustrated when a 47-year-old man was murdered at around 1:20 a.m. on Monday on Royston Road, where the hotel is located.
Jesus.
That's by Ali Martin in The Guardian, of course. So fucking hell, that's scary, man. I have never been to the West Indies.
No, not right.
But that is fucking, well, it's both tragic and scary as fuck.
Well, my favourite story coming out of the tour, if you don't mind me,
Please.
was that Jofra Archer played for his old Barbados school team.
Yeah, that's right.
Without telling the ECB.
Yeah, Rob Key didn't know and was told about it in an interview.
Yeah, and he took 4 for 18. and one of the guys who got out said that both men were up, so it was space beyond the circle. And it was stumps cartwheeling. Yeah. And he bowled a combination of pace spin and left arm spin. I like it. Good to see Jofra coming back. I'd love to see him back.
Yeah.
Love to see him back. Anyway, I thought that was a good story.
You have to watch the schoolboy team then.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, old Barbados.
Are they on Frog Box? Hashtag AskTGC is brought to you by Ponting Wines. You can use the code GETAFEW for 20% off. pontingwines.com.au. If you can source yourself from Ponting Wines before Christmas, well, then now is the time. pontingwines.com.au. Use the code GETAFEW for 20% off. GETAFEW, all one word. Now is the Christmas. It's time for Christmas.
It's time for a splash.
Bring round some Ponting wine.
Yeah.
It's a conversation piece for a start.
Yep.
Get it right now. Stop what you're doing right now and get it right now.
Get a few.
Ponting
And also use the code GETAFEW for 20% off. Hey boys, hashtag AskTGC for you here, and I can keep this one anonymous due to the amount of respect I may, and he writes, lose. All the ongoing talk of noncery, and in your most recent AskTGC episode 170, odd 171, the chat about the bloke who gets erections from solar panel pats, LBW appeals and sexual arousal from sport more generally brought back a memory from a few years that I can't tell whether is funny, sad, or embarrassing, or a combination of the three. This story occurred when a few cricket mates and I found ourselves home alone with no adult supervision. And as all young adults do when they find themselves in these situations, we decided to experiment.
Yeah.
After purchasing some brownies off some dodgy friend of a friend, we all split out fair share and consumed. Shortly after ingesting, I found one of my mates was rolling around the tiles like a caterpillar and building pillow forts under pool table. And we all thought to ourselves, what have we got ourselves into? My brownies took a while to kick in, but fuck me when they did. They hit harder than a truck. I'm sure there's a cricket joke about a heavy ball I can put there, but I'm not funny or charismatic enough for that. And when I say hard, I mean look at yourself in the mirror and can't see a single filament white in your eye.
Yeah.
After some crazy high antics, I found myself on a couch by myself, incapable of moving. After becoming one with the couch for some time, I had the bright idea of wonder what cricket might be like right now. Crow's feet, I know. Regardless, I began to shadow bat. Let me tell you, boys, it was awesome. Now, for context, I hate cricket and suck, but this imaginary innings made me feel like a junior again. That unrivaled joy and happiness for anything cricket and utter domination with stick in hand was invigorating. Shot after shot, I was scoring at all corners of the ground. One ball would be perfect forward defence and the next a perfect pull shot, rolled wrists and all. I was Bradman in my head, but to my mates it all probably was a bit Stephen Hawking having a net session. I was still melded to the chair and only my wrists and forearms were in motion. But it didn't matter. I was the greatest batsman to ever play. I urged my teammates they needed to try it. Boy, shadow bat, it's great. They were not so game and probably thought I was nuts. Unfazed by their crow's feet gaze towards me, I carried on with my innings until it happened. The bowler had fucked up. Has he seriously just done that? Almost disgusted. How dare he bowl that to me? The ball was about fifth stumpish and very drivable. The bowler just served up the ultimate half volley. It happened in slow motion. My front foot strided confidently forward. My head stretched towards the ball and bang! An explosion in more than one way, right out of the middle of the bat. Middle of the bat. It was one of those cover drives the pros play when it hits the grass. It literally sticks and accelerates towards the rope like a bullet. I must have enjoyed it that much. As I had made contact with the ball, I felt my penis start to pulsate and contract, which then led to the warm, fuzzy feeling. The fuck? Did I just ejaculate? No, it can't be, surely. An explosion indeed. Is this for real? I haven't read this. I swiftly snapped out my euphoric and apparently erotic trance to check my pants for an oopsie. Only to find myself the most flaccid I've ever been. I don't think I could get hard if I tried. My conclusion to this is that as I was high, my brain had simulated an orgasm and had associated that with the feeling of the perfect cover drive. The fuck is wrong with me?
Wow.
My brain subconsciously links the supposed pinnacle of human pleasure to a fucking cover drive. Do other people in other sports have this? Is a soccer player simulating orgasms about a free kick outside the box, perfectly clearing the wall and dipping into the top corner? This hasn't happened to me yet, by the way. So yeah, that's my story. Sorry for it being a long one, and I guess the only reasonable question I have is, here goes, I did biceps at the gym yesterday. Why do my tries hurt? P.S. If you're actually in contact with the AFP, this is all alleged and is definitely not a real story. P.P.S. It is, but I don't want to end up on a watch list. I swear I'm normal-ish. Cheers, boys. A definite, a nonce.
What the fuck? I mean, we've all seen, some great cover drives over the years. Damien Martin comes to mind. Ricky Ponting pull shots. It's just, I'm just thinking of some of like Roblinder 2's greatest hits, basically, And who hasn't been, cover driven to completion upon watching some of the greats do it? But when you do it yourself, I mean, that sounds like that could be a medical issue that needs investigating further.
To me, I'm curious about this. I may have a guess, but it's all I always thought it was a figure of speech.
Yeah.
Like cover drive to completion.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, whether people actually get erections over sporting attainment,
right?
Personally, or even watching it. It doesn't happen for me.
No.
When a nonce here says he was perfectly flaccid after it, I thought that would have been further confirmation that he did indeed ejaculate.
Yeah, that's happened.
There usually other, symptoms there as well.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be checking that out. I think if you could bring yourself to a simulated orgasm while on drugs playing a cover drive, that's a
you say?
That's a gift in life. I wouldn't be ashamed of it. I'd be just I'm in such a state. I take myself to a creative state where I can simulate an orgasm after playing a cover drive that I actually couldn't hit in real life. In fact, I look like Stephen Hawking, according to his friends. That's the copy of his friends. So I'd regard that as it's so funny with our guest having just arrived hearing this, but I'd be regarding that as a gift that you have in your life, because I can't imagine myself if I was to ingest some brownies for my own reasons. One, I couldn't imagine myself using that feeling to be playing cricket, but if I did and I was able to simulate an orgasm, I'd be really happy with that outcome.
Well, we are all looking for gifts this Christmas period. So if you can in some way gift that to a loved one, then there are options available. Also, other gifts are also available. Have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you as always for joining TGC here. See you guys in Melbourne for the live shows. Tickets available for Sydney. See you guys real soon on the internet. Cheers.